This might work. Okay, testing.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. I can hear you. All right, thank you, person on the phone.
Awesome.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay. Pretty good. How are you?
I'm okay. I have learned
Uh,
my lesson. Woman cry, man bad. Man yell, man also bad. Woman yell, man also bad.
yeah. I can see maybe why I can understand why you might think that.
I'm being
Have you been able
facetious a
to
little bit.
locate like that video at all? Because we saw like a clip of it, and to me, I'm not sure that that necessarily would qualify as something to get her kicked out of the house for the night.
Yeah, no, like
I was kind of thinking we could take a look at it again if you want to.
like yeah. It's I have a grainy version on my phone, but like obviously the whole point was to try and get that giant monitor in the kitchen to play it. But like earlier, before I was told to vacate the house, they basically it just kept loading or doing the little scrolling wheel thing. I don't know if that's like the password's been changed, it's like disconnected or something, but so all I have right now is the grainy version, which basically she showed the
Okay.
cops and
Yeah, I've seen like a grainy version too. Do you
I mean, we can
oh
watch
man,
that one
where
if
should
you
we
want, and
start?
I can try to describe it a bit. Like my surprise is that like it's not like I was tripping. It's like literally it was enough force that I almost fell into the car, right? Again,
Okay. I mean, I might
yeah.
need to see the higher resolution version of it. I guess
Yeah.
it didn't look that way to me the first time I saw it, but again, if maybe we see the higher resolution version.
I
Let me
can
see
probably
here.
grab it tomorrow. Assuming the password hasn't been changed, I guess. It's funny because I was talking to
Okay.
my tech guy and I was like, this cannot be deleted, right? And he's like, no. But I guess the password can be changed. I've got to ask the right
Yeah,
questions, I guess.
that is rough.
It's fine.
Okay.
I have a version, so it's
Could you
fine.
maybe just could we start from like the beginning and
Sure,
we could like talk
absolutely.
through? So
Yeah.
I had heard that one of you guys said, either you or Kate said that she'd been locked in the bedroom, I guess since like mid afternoon. Was that true? So how did you guys like end up fighting today? You said you offered to buy her a horse,
Wait. Oh,
right?
if that was said about today, that would be her because that wasn't true. What happened? I can start from the top of the morning. So you know, I woke up at my alarm went off at 11:30 a.m. All right, it's my typical wake up time. 11 is about the earliest I wake up. Mostly I do stuff with California, so it just kind of works. I wake up and she had me book therapy the day before, and I know us in that like sometimes stuff comes up, and so I booked two different sessions at two different times. And one was at
Okay.
noon, and one was at the time 7 p.m. And so I figured that's good. We're gonna hit it either way, right? And so I wake up, I look
Yep.
over to her, and then I gently wake her and I say, "Hey, it's 11:30. Do you want to sleep or do you want to get up?" She says, "Sleep." I said, "No problem." I roll out of bed, I go downstairs, I text the person that like, "Hey, cancel this session," blah blah blah, right? I get to like my man cave, which is where I'm at now. I usually start my day here, and I start getting phone calls. And so like at some point, I guess
Okay.
someone had leaked my number like right around then. And so I started getting spammed phone calls. And they kind of seemed pretty targeted because at first it was like girls calling, or at least voices pretending to be girls, but they sound like girls. And then they would just start like, I feel like they're just clip farming or audio, like recording the thing or whatever. And that was, like after a while I stopped looking at them. But then it started being like local numbers, right? I imagine spoofing, but like, for me at least, local numbers are sometimes a police officer checking to see if the SWAT threat is real, or the guy who cleans the swimming pool or something like that. So I tap on the local, I accept the local number calls, and it's just more trolls, girls and guy voices, right? The one that got me alarmed was then I got a call that was is a number that was from our area, And then it was basically like a bunch of, like after he just kind of threatened, really, he threatened her way more than me. I don't know what his axe was, because most of the calls threatened me. This one was like, what if I, show up and pay you a visit, right? And so I tried to,
Yep.
deter that because I said, listen, we have two guards, 24/7, armed special forces, right? I'm okay with the gun too. I don't know if you want to do that. And this guy's like, I don't care. I'm coming. So I'm like, okay. And so then at this point, I'm running around trying to find my stream phone so I can record this thing, right? She had stolen my stream phone. And it was in that moment that I realized.
Okay.
Right? Because she didn't want me streaming. She has not wanted me streaming for the last 2 days.
Sure.
And so I couldn't do that. And so then my next thing was I was going to run across and make sure she was okay. Right? I get to the driveway.
Okay.
I look out and like, it's not great. The gate is wide open. There's a car pulled up and then she's walking like basically across the threshold of the open gate. And I go up to her and I basically say, hey, come on, let's go, right? And then she pulls no, you can't tell me what to do. I was like, no, really, let's get out from in front of the fucking gate, right? She's like, no, you can't bully me. I'm like, holy fuck, dude, just come over here, I'll explain. And the reason I didn't want to just yell it right there is obviously because like, there's like a car right there. There's people milling around. There's a lot of contracting and construction work going on. I don't know everyone. I don't know who's taking pictures of the house. I don't know who's sending them to me. I don't know who's making threats. And so it just seems like to me,
we have Can
interject
I just
anytime.
slow down for 1 second and just ask?
Yes.
Just real quick. I just want to ask, is this around the time you guys end up getting in the physical confrontation?
No, it's probably like 2 hours before.
Later where you guys
Yeah, it's like
2 hours before that. Okay,
yeah.
okay. Sure.
And so then
cool.
Finally I get her to get to a place that doesn't have line of sight of the open gate. And then we get inside, and the moment we get inside, she starts accusing me of something, which is like fucking crazy because I haven't even had a chance to tell her like, yo, look, like we're getting like, somewhat credible threats with pictures and shit. Right? It's the first time at this house that has happened. So to me, it's a pretty big deal. And given that she is very adamant about, 2 security officers 24/7 and, bolstering, all the gates are getting, or all the walls are getting higher, more barbed wire, like it's the whole shebang. I thought it was very silly to just stand in front of the open gate then, and then just kind of be like, I don't want to listen. Like, no, you can't tell me what to do. Like that's just like blew my mind. And so then we got in there, she started accusing me. She thought like, she basically had the, she felt, I guess, guilty about it. And so she was like, you lied about this threat so that I would tell you where your stream phone is. Which I'm like, what? Because I wasn't sure that she had hidden it at that point, until she said that. I was like, so you did hide it? She goes, no. I just stashed it away my desk. I was like, okay. We talk about it for a bit. She just keeps accusing me of all these, everything under the sun. And then finally,
you guys at that point both agreed not to stream?
We have had a detente going for like 2 or 3 days since our last stream. Basically, it was if you don't, I won't. Right? That was the idea. And then she kind of wanted to today earlier, and I was like, if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it too. And she's like, well, no, then I won't. Right? And then obviously the hit thing happened. And then at that point, I'm like, I feel like I just wanted an apology from her. Right? Like she's hit me before. Like it's not a new thing. It's just she hadn't previously in the same week called the cops 7 times on me for things that weren't at all physical. Right? Like so I've been like, I don't know if you heard the most egregious one, but it's like on Sunday, she calls the cops early in the morning, right? They show up and they go, hey, sir, we got a domestic disturbance, call from, and then they wouldn't tell me who. So I'm assuming it's her. And she wouldn't deny it or, whatever. And so, they're like, it would be great if you would just leave the premises. I was like, but I didn't do anything. Right. Like, and they're like, no, we know, but like, just till people cool off. Basically they were using soft, they couldn't force me off, but they were just trying to, coax me off. And I generally try to be amenable and cooperative with police officers. So I said, you know what? Okay, fine. I have a reason to go to Dallas. I'm just gonna take a day trip. It's like a 3.5 hour drive, right? And so then before I leave, she's in the driveway. I'm in the driveway. I'm like, listen, I'm talking to her, right? Like, don't do anything drastic. Okay, just promise you won't do anything drastic. We can talk about whatever when I get back. And she said, sure. And as a more of as a joke than as a serious thing, I said, just don't change the locks on me. And she says, no, I won't. I leave for like 9 hours, including the drive there and back. I come back.
Okay.
Okay, so she said 9 hours to cool off. Yes, go ahead.
Can I just ask
No,
you?
interject anytime.
Real quick, timeline wise, I'm just trying to keep a timeline in my head. So
Sunday.
is this before today? This is a couple days ago.
Sunday, yeah.
Sunday, okay,
Yeah.
Sunday. So this was this after your last streams, or was it the next day? I can't remember the timeline precisely there because you guys haven't streamed for 2 or 3
Day
days
after.
now, right? So
It's
this
the
would
day
be
after the
your first
last
day
stream.
off.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And so I spent basically all day not even in the same city as her, right? I come back later in the evening, right? And I get to the gate and like I start to, press in the code and nothing happens. I was like, maybe I'm tired. I tried again, nothing. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll try the master code, nothing. And then I try to call like the guy who services our gate, because I think, oh, maybe it's broken, right? And I get informed that he was called out to change the code by him. And I've talked to him. I was like, look, listen, she doesn't own the house. We own the house. You can't just change the code on me and then refuse to tell me, right? Like, but, and I think we've reached an agreement on that. But basically, the guy told me he had been told to change it, right? Like she had paid her or called him or whatever. I was like, okay, fine. So I get in the property, right? At this point, like I go to the main house, and I try to open the door. It's locked. And I'm like, huh. And so we have these digital locks on every door that automatically lock every like 15 or 30 minutes or whatever. And so I press in the code, nothing. I press in the code, nothing. I'm like, huh. Master code, nothing, right? I call the guy again, right? I'm like, yo, did you change these? He goes, well, we changed the login to the panel. And so I don't actually know what those new codes are, but yeah, someone changed them today. I was like, okay. So she's locked me out of the house. Effectively, every door's locked. Okay. And so then I go.
So just one quick clarifying question. Had you guys changed the codes since the codes were leaked?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like there's no reason.
So they changed before that, and then they changed again here.
Yes.
All right.
No, she's like pretty paranoid, so she changes them even like when an employee. I think it's smart. If an employee leaves, especially if they're disgruntled, we change it, right?
Well,
like just
hold on. I don't think it's paranoid. Like, and I'm not going to be too hard on you, but you did leak the gate code live on a stream, right? So I think that's probably a justified reason to go.
I say ish. Ish because I was trying to say like, look, mute the stream because I don't know if you watched that whole stream. It's kind of long and meandering. When she's saying sensitive information, she mutes it. But then when I'm saying I need to say something, she wouldn't mute it. And so on principle, I was just kind of like, all right, well, I'm gonna start saying the gate code. And then she's like, okay, like, cause she's looking for like evidence to farm is what her whole MO is, right? And I'm like, okay, I start saying the numbers and she just never muted it. Like she was holding it away from me, her hands over the mute button, but not pressing it. So I don't know. You tell me. Sure, I said the words, she wouldn't mute it.
Well, I mean,
no, I'll take your judgment on that.
Yeah. For me, I don't think it's like viable for you to say to threaten some negative thing, some like harmful thing, and say mute it or else I'm going to do X harmful thing, right? You wouldn't go mute it or I'm going to hit you, mute it or I'm going to like, I'm going to like start breaking your stuff. So mute it or I'm going to leak the gate code feels like it's pretty rough as well. I obviously don't think it's as bad as those other two.
I can agree. I can agree with you on that.
Yeah, behavior, right? A harmful behavior.
I think that's a reasonable take. For me, it's like she was selectively muting every time she was saying sensitive information, right? And so I was like, well, why can't we do that when I want to talk about something? But regardless, I kind of, quote unquote, got her back a little bit because every time she calls the cops, she likes to mute it because then she can say stuff that isn't true to the dispatch, right? And then the last time she called the cops, I told her, if you're not gonna lie, why don't you unmute it? And she left it unmuted, and so then she had to say the real version of what happened, and the cops refused to even come. This is after they'd already been called out. It's kind of insane. And when they got called out, and so here's what happened. This is the part that really set me off, and like I think for me started to irreparably damage the relationship. It's that she gets into these little moments of like, I call it pride, but it's like it's just stubborn to the point where she won't admit that something was wrong. Like something that she did was not great, right? So what happened was someone called, SWAT on me essentially. And what they told the dispatch was, I'm watching a stream. The husband has beat his wife unconscious. And so, obviously, we get a stern knocking on the door. I open it and it's like fucking 2 Glocks in my face, right? Not that close, but like, And so I'm like, I've played, I've been in this rodeo before. I was just like, all right, I'll lie on the floor prone if you want. They handcuff, they do the fucking real rough handcuff. And then, they basically corral me to a squad car and like they basically yeeted me into the back. And like, I've never been in a squad car before. I've never been arrested before. I don't even know if that counts as being arrested. I didn't realize they're made out of plastic. And so I kind of just like, I thought it was gonna be a soft landing because they kind of like gave me a push. And then I ended up just like fucking, scraping the entire length of the seats because it's just a plastic board. So I'm sitting in the squad car and, as luck would have it, the officer sitting in the front of the car was a talkative female officer, right? Quite friendly because no one else would talk to me. And I said, just out of curiosity, I always ask, can I ask what the call was that got this kind of response? Because it's been a while since, they've stuck guns in my face, right? Normally they just check my ID and then they go, is it a real threat? I go, no. They go, fine. Because there's like a record of it happening a lot here.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what did they say, right?
I do know like most of this stuff. I think I want to get
to
the part. Not that I understand that it's like traumatic.
No, we can jump to wherever you want.
But I think it seemed like your primary issue that night was that Amouranth, which you said she did, was she justified you getting swatted. And I think what she was trying to say, this just didn't get communicated well to you maybe, or you weren't ready to hear it because obviously you just had a gun pointed in your face. But she was saying, hey, like you had kind of charged at her and grabbed the phone and shut the stream off, right? And I think that could have caused people to call the cops. She wasn't trying to say that you deserve to be swatted. She was trying to say like you can't act a certain way or else people will call the cops. I don't think she ever tried to say, and I understand that it's difficult to hear in the moment when you just had like a traumatic moment, but it seemed like she was trying to say, hey, you can't act like that or else people will do things like this, right? So that's not what you want to hear in that moment, but I don't think she was ever trying to say you deserve that. You should get swatted.
So I do agree. I think that's a reasonable take, right? Like my thing about that is like, especially in light of today, clearly the bar is very different. I rush at her mouse. That's fucking swattable. Like she sticks her arm out to physically restrain me. Let's use the charitable version. I don't, that doesn't count as anything. Like, sure, I'll accept that, man versus woman, right? But like in that particular case, I get that. Okay, I get that there was some, nuance to it, but like the idea is she knows this too, because she's been a streamer for 10 years, right? You can't leave a door open, figuratively speaking, for someone to shove their foot in. If you say it's not the caller's fault that you got swatted, it's your own fault. Even if you're trying to say like because an action you took compelled them, let's be honest here, okay? There is, in my opinion, no action that would compel a person to lie that violence happened and they witnessed it and that it needs a, quick, potentially lethal response. That's crazy. Like, I don't care. That's like saying like, well, you can see why they beat your door down, fucking, pushed you out of the way because they got a call, that your sprinkler was leaking. Like it's an over response, and like an over response, I think needs to be condemned, especially in this case, because if you don't condemn it, and if you even tacitly encourage it or justify it, the guy who called is a super simp, obviously, because that's a pretty extreme thing to do, right? And I was told that there are at least 5 calls.
If it was Angelica or not?
Oh no, it's not. It's not. It's definitely not. I went and asked after, and there was at least 5 different calls, and it made sense because I remember there was like fucking 8 squad cars there, and that's atypical, right? Each so when you call in, you hit a different dispatch, especially if you're not from Houston, because then you might hit a further one, and so they just kind of dispatch people to that place. And then so like I could tell when the cops got there, they were kind of like, oh, you got called too, blah blah blah. And so there's multiple calls, but the at least I'm pretty sure because the lady, one of the two people who had the Glocks, she was the one I asked, and so obviously she went with the Glock out, and so the reason she did that was because her call was a bit, it was quite serious. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, I understand that's probably what you were most upset about that night. Do we want to get back to we were about 2 hours before
Oh yeah,
you
sure,
guys got
sorry,
into
yeah,
the
of course,
little physical conflict in the driveway?
Yeah, of course. So 2 hours before, and then like we basically just low key argue for an hour, 2 hours or so, right? At that point, I'm like, I don't think this is gonna be resolved today, and it sucks because we talked all day yesterday, and we thought we reached like a level of understanding, and then this morning, and this is the part that still blows my mind because I was trying to get her to get out because I thought there was an actual imminent risk. That started a fight that broke that peace, which blows my mind because like it tells me that like if another situation happens like the home invasion, if I yell at her to do something in that moment, like get down, duck, whatever, right? She might just say, you can't tell me what to do. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like at this point, I don't even think I could repeat that incident because she's so into this thing of like, you can't tell me what to do. It's like, dude, if I'm coming at you and I look kind of stricken and scared and I tell you come with me, I don't know, man. It's hard to be married to someone who won't fucking respond to that, honestly, right? And so I didn't think we could resolve it that day. It'd been going on for a while. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell the employees to like take the day off, maybe at least, go to Starbucks or something, have a coffee on the company, right? Like just, I don't like it when we're arguing and they're just in the middle. It just feels like you're browbeating someone. So I say I'm gonna go tell them to take 15, and then she was like, no. And I was like, why? Right? And she was just like, no. And then she made the thing of like, because I don't feel safe with you here alone. Again, I would posit the question: if you cannot feel safe with your own husband who saved your life once already, why the fuck are you like? That's a valid feeling for someone, right? Like someone out there, that's a valid feeling. But then you wouldn't stay married to that person.
I think it's probably what do you call it? Like I think probably being upset that your wife said I don't feel safe being alone with you is probably a valid feeling.
Yeah, yeah,
right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like for her to feel that way is also
if you
valid.
hadn't saved her life, I would just say in general, you guys are married. You should probably feel safe together.
You're right.
I can understand why that'd be upsetting.
Yeah, and then in addition, it's kind of like my other counterpoint was that like, well, like, and if you can't feel safe with your husband, then maybe y'all aren't particularly good for each other, right? Like I feel like if you're not there after I've already done what I've done, and I've never hit her ever, and as far as I know, based on what she said, no one has ever hit her, abused her. She doesn't have like that kind of trauma. Okay, like she doesn't, like, other than like this break-in when that was the very first time someone's ever struck her, right? Like she shouldn't be scared of me. And like it was kind of a yo-yo. Sorry to kind of go out of chronological order, but like the week after I saved her, I could do no wrong, and it was eerie. I was like, listen, like I don't want this to be like this weird thing where everything I say is great because I saved your life. This isn't fucking Toy Story, like the Minion thing, right? Or like, oh, you saved my life, we're forever really grateful. I was like, I don't want this. It's weird. Okay. And I should have probably kept my mouth shut, I guess, because then she went hard in the opposite direction. I was like, holy shit, dude. It's like I never did anything for her now, right? Like literally I'm a leech. I've never done anything. And look, ultimately what's happened is the caustic elements in her chat have succeeded in assuaging her opinion. That's absolutely what it is, because I see her just maniacally looking at her chat and like just gleefully repeating the choicest bits, right? And that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know, man. And so, anyways, going back, I was like, I'm gonna go, tell him to go, and she says no, and I said, well, this isn't gonna get resolved today, and so I start walking, and I, obviously she's standing in the middle between the two cars, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go wide around her, right? Because I don't want any, whatever. And that's when she's, throws her arm out, corrals me, as the police succinctly say, And then, I almost lose my balance. And then, I'm like, dude, that's so crazy. And for me, the dichotomy was like, I've never called the cops on you. You've called them on me 7 times this week for nothing. Like, I feel like this is way higher, I guess, validity than any of the other things that she has, ever called in ever. Right. And so, at that point, I do go in the house and then now, because she thinks I might call the cops, now she's okay with the employees taking the day off. And so they take the day off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have like a copy of the video. I was going to throw it up on screen.
Go
you want to
for
go through this together?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to grab a water while you.
So this is. Okay. Oh, sure. I got it ready to go. But if you want to go grab a water, that's totally fine. Oh, he's running to grab a water. Okay. Oh, let me pull this over here so I can see.
Okay, I'm back.
And then we got. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So we've got this clip from you guys' Nest Cam.
Oh, cool. Wait, who sent that in?
I don't know. I got it from somebody in my chat.
Interesting.
Like a streamable. But I think this is I think the full clip. So I can't.
I wonder.
Sound up.
I couldn't even get this. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming it's just her then.
Watch it. Could be through somebody.
Yeah. Most likely.
You could pick a spot.
Oh. You're saying.
I'm listening to you. It sounds like you're saying you can pick a spot. I don't want to be in front of this.
I don't quite recall. It might just be us debating, take that side, I take this side, kind of like we're doing now. Something like that.
All right. Okay. We can go forward. Yeah. I kind of doubt, like, you guys are fighting. It kind of probably doesn't really matter what the fight was about.
Yeah. I mean, they're always dumb fights. Yeah, so we're still debating about the gate. Yeah,
that's what you're talking about. What you said. That, hey, what's the risk in like not going this way? Yeah, I got it.
I just remember in that flash of a moment, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm about to hit this car."
Okay. Yeah, I understand you guys were like heated. You're going by her, and she goes to, I guess, stop you going by.
I believe the lady's literally in her car in this too. So it's kind of like, I was like, what the fuck, man?
Okay. Here, I'm trying to just see. I don't know if we need the audio quite so loud here. I just want to see. Because, yeah, you almost catch your heel there on the car.
Yeah. I mean, for a brief second, like, both feet are kind of in the air. Because, like, anyways, but yeah, like, basically, I didn't expect it whatsoever. And then, like, she pushed it out literally when I'm walking by. If she had had her arms outstretched, I would have gone even further around her, right? Like, if she had her arms outstretched already, I'd just go wider berth. But, like, because she wasn't doing that, I figured wide berth is enough. And then she pops her arms out. Yeah. Dude, yeah. I will say this, though. Like, in the past, if I'm standing even within the vicinity of the doorway, I'm barring her exit. And, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to move to the side. Like, so it's just night and day between her expectations of how, she can take up space versus how I can.
Sure. I agree with you. I would say almost certainly to me, like, I can basically identify where the cops were coming from when they didn't want to, when they said that this didn't rise to, like, something we could press charges on. I understand that, like, you guys were having a fight, and she probably never put her hands on you before, right? So I totally get how that.
She has. It's just been a while.
Okay.
There's been times where where ex-employees have seen her actually hit me, right? Like actually, like, we're not talking a push. I mean, she once dislocated my shoulder because she didn't want me to leave, but I was like, it's funny how the tables have turned. Like, I was like, I'm gonna go, and she goes, no, and she grabs my arm, and she's on the lower level of a staircase, and I'm trying to go up, right? And so then she basically just hops off the staircase and holding my arm. And so, I lied because my work at the time had a, employee health thing. And so I was like, oh, I did it playing tennis during lunch. But like, no, that was her. Like that's straight up her. Like I haven't played tennis in years. So yeah.
Sure, sure. So, like,
Kate,
again, I
she's in my
think
chat spamming. Kate,
I
do
can
you want
get
me to
it.
call Morgan?
What?
Huh? All
Oh,
right,
are
so
you
you can go
talking
on.
to her? Is she typing in her chat or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good. You can keep going.
Okay. Yeah, I think this one is pretty rough to go and to say like this was domestic abuse. I don't know. I can understand there have been other instances, and it sucks that those weren't brought up.
But I wasn't intending, even I was saying like if this had happened today, I wouldn't give a fuck if she hadn't called the cops on me 7 times for no reason, right? Especially the grading was the one where obviously she locks me out and then calls in like a burglary or noise disturbance. It's like, of course you've locked me out and you didn't tell me. Of course I'm gonna be confused and like trying to figure out, you know, like hers are
Oh
so
wait, so when
minor.
the
Yeah.
locks were changed, the cops were called too.
Oh yeah, no, that's the craziest thing. It was like I saw that. I was like, this is like a Magic the Gathering fucking infinite combo. Okay. She calls the cops, tells them she feels unsafe. They ask me to leave. I leave for the day. I come back at night because I was told to leave just for a little bit, right? And so I come back at night, all the locks are changed. All the door locks are changed, right? She didn't tell me what they were. She refused to tell me. And so when I was like
Yeah,
trying all the doors around
we
the house, because I'm like, oh, surely one of these hasn't been changed. She calls the cops, and I don't know exactly. I'd have to go in and get the report, but it's like it's either a burglary or a noise disturbance. But it's crazy because she knows it's me. I mean, like I'm in the gate. There's cameras everywhere. You know it is me, right? Like there's no way you can't know. Like if you see motion on the cameras and you don't bother to check, I don't know, man. Like, but so she knows it's me, and she knows I'm just trying to get into the house, and she knows she's changed locks, obviously. I think it's really shitty in that juncture, right? To call the cops for the reason of I wasn't even trying to break into my own house. I was just like going to each door and then like, putting in the
so
code and then giving it a hard pull and then nothing. Again, nothing, right? Like I don't
do
think I
you
deserve that.
do you feel well maybe not, but do you feel like you were getting even tonight by calling the cops now where they probably shouldn't have been called?
I would argue that like she is setting the precedence, right? And given that every single time I've been asked to leave, right? For every tiny little thing, I figure at the very least, it would document something. Maybe it has, right? But and then in addition, she might be asked to leave for once, and she would experience what that is like. And she's already done something more serious than I've ever done to her, right? So it just seems like this is a great way to highlight. Let's not do this when it's avoidable is kind of the idea. But no, I felt like if she felt justified in calling and the police were justified in asking me to leave, then I feel like this more than justifies it, on the same basis.
Okay. All right. I think like yeah, basically to show her that like it's fucked up when you call for like no reason when you which you felt like was no reason, so you're gonna do it back to her so that you could get her thrown out and show her what it was like.
Like I don't like the wording, but I can see what you're trying to say. I would say that like if you want to say nothing that like it depends, right? Like if you're saying like you got to hit someone this hard and anything below that is nothing, okay, sure. I mean, like if that's the definition, right? But like if we're saying on a spectrum of what I've done that she's called the cops on versus what she's done, this is far, more severe, which is crazy to say because you're saying that it's not a big deal, but it's far more severe than anything she's ever called the cops on, and like they come fast and sometimes with guns out, right?
Okay. I see what you're saying. Did they come with guns out another night, or was that when the viewers called?
It's been a while. Because at first when we moved to this property, like every property, we get swatted. It's pretty terrible. Military zip tie. Pre George Floyd, it was a female cop would stand on my back. But like, it's been a while because we've been swatted here so much that the cops know and they don't want to fucking waste resources or potentially hurt someone, and so they just show up and then they call and then like one cop shows up and then they just want to see my ID. They want to see me say that everything's fine and her to say everything's fine, and they leave. That's like the typical swatting nowadays. But like this, guy calling in a violent threat that he, allegedly witnessed, which he didn't. That kind of, I think, rekindles the more dangerous version, especially if she condemns the no SWAT is harmless, but the other calls haven't gotten anything done. Those she condemns and says it's really shitty. This guy who calls it on me, he gets basically said it's not his fault. He was doing what he thought he needed to do. And she encouraged and basically recognized this guy lying on her behalf, right? And I'm telling her, like, you know this. You're smart enough to know this. Either that or you're just so callous that you don't give a fuck about me or my safety, which that's been proven multiple times. That if you tell him anything other than this is deplorable, this is terrible, never do this again, you piece of shit. If you don't say that, everyone's gonna do it. Think about it. Like she's such a fucking detached streamer. She doesn't give one iota of attention to anyone in her chat ever. And suddenly she's gonna give it to the guy who swats me? Come on, that's clear as day.
What? I mean, I'd have to go back and watch that. I didn't think she was trying to say that like swatting was good, but like
we should, if you want to, we should. Yeah,
want, like a call that like swatting, but like she did think. I don't know. I watched the clip. The clip looks pretty bad. Probably worse than it was. I'll give you. The clip looks pretty bad when the phone gets taken and shit gets shut off, right?
Well, so full context, and obviously if you want to, well, I could go downstairs if it's not changed and check out the security camera footage because there's different angles. Her streaming room has so many cameras, right? There's multiple angles. I've had situations where employees thinking that I'm a soft target will say, oh yeah, Nick was yelling at me in that room when she wasn't streaming. And I'd be like, okay, which security camera? I'll show you 4 different angles. Never happened. I walk away from you, you're throwing a fit, right? So 4 different angles of cameras. So I've seen this effect before, right? Depending on in front, behind. Basically, it might look like I was lunging at her, but she wasn't even holding the camera. Camera's on the desk. Like, I don't know, if that vantage point reflects very easily. The camera's just on the desk, right? And so I grabbed the camera, and then, I don't even remember why I did it, but I stopped. I turned it off or stopped it from streaming to the camera. And then just in the heat of the moment, I also exit the stream on the desktop. I actually don't think, I mean, maybe I should just not, I would, now if I could go back, I'd do neither, right? But like, I think it would have been smart to not do it, turn off the desktop, because even though it is recording, it wasn't as invasive and it wasn't as pointed in my face purposely as the camera. And that's really my only point of contention, right? And so for me to turn off the desktop, even though that's even further away from her, so I don't think it can be seen as me doing anything to her, right? I think that also the stream being off for just like a second made some people flip the fuck out. That's being charitable to them already, right? Because in reality, there's no reason you should lie about it.
Okay. Yeah. I think also she was in a really, you guys should not have been talking that night because she was in a,
she's in a
very rough position. I think both of you guys had so I don't remember everything from that first night, but it did seem like I remember when she walked down to the streaming room, she was walking away from you and you followed because you guys were continuing the argument, right? Like, I think there were lots of moments to de-escalate that night. So when the swatting happened, from what I remember, like lots of pretty vicious shit in terms of a marriage had already been said, right? Like I think when you guys were sitting outside with the dogs, I do remember one point very clearly where she's just laughing at like a chat TTS, and then you tell her that I think you say something along the lines of, "Am I gonna have to institutionalize you again, or do I have to threaten to institutionalize you again?" Right? To bring that up when it's like it had been heated, but it hadn't gone to that level.
I actually don't recall that, but I'm not necessarily doubting. Really that whole comment was because there was an absolutely, like, I mean, literally, I tried to send the employees home per usual because someone came to me and said, "Hey, you got to go check on her. She's acting really weird." And so I go into the studio downstairs, and the moment I open the door, she pops in my face and says, "Do you believe in God?" Anyways, long story short on that one, she thought she was rapturing because she had too much violence. And so then I was like, okay, I
Sure.
see what's
But
going
that
on.
like
Yeah.
that wasn't that day, right?
No, but
So
like
I get it.
she was basically,
But that was
yeah,
all also off stream too.
luckily, and that took a bit of convincing. See, when it's her problem and it clearly paints her to be a fucking, look, not a lunatic, but like someone who isn't particularly careful with certain substance usage, right? When that happens, like I try to hide it for her. I try to tell the employees, hey, you can take the day off, right? I don't like people seeing people in their vulnerable state, and it just feels so shitty that she has zero feeling of contrivance for that. In fact, the first time ever, 2 days, 3 days ago, I tried THC, first time ever. I went to the moon. Okay, in that moment, I was
Uh-huh.
going to the moon, and I was just harmlessly laying on the couch, giggling like an idiot. She did this latest round, or at least did some. I should probably just search my PC. And she just went into my computer, into my phone, deleted all the evidence I have of her, right? Literally, deleted all the evidence I have of her. And I have her on recording saying that today, right? Any security footage downstairs will say she just admitted to it, like fucking brazenly. She deleted everything I had on her, right? And then she went to my computer and then started tinkering with the email. God knows why. So she had my phone, my email,
Okay.
my
Hold on.
laptop.
Before
Yeah.
we go on a different
Mhm.
before we go on a different track, I just want to go back because you said you send the employees home when she
Mhm.
was doing the rapturing thing because you didn't want anybody to see her in that vulnerable state.
Yeah.
But then when you guys were fighting, when that first fight was happening, you had to throw your cigar away and she had the dogs out, right? You guys were already fighting.
Yeah.
When you made the comment about committing her, and then you had to tell the story about rapturing, that is sharing her vulnerable moment with the public, right? So you said
Well,
you sent the employees home because you didn't want them to see her like
well,
that, but then
she
you brought it up
actually.
on
So
stream
it's funny. It's
because
actually
I think
funny.
she was laughing at you, and it seemed like you were getting a bit insecure.
So it's a little bit of more detail, but it's like so I went to go. So it's actually tied in. So I went to go tell them to leave, and then she did kind of like today's thing and went to stop me, right? But she was also in a kind of a crazy state. So it was like this really weird mix of like she would say, "No, tell me you love me." I was like, "I love you. You're lying. You're wearing glasses." Just the whole thing. And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go tell them to go home." And then she'd be like, "No,
Sure. So this is like the off-stream thing, and I'm saying that
no."
you
So I'm
described
trying to get
this
to the fact that
once.
like I don't even. She does not. She sits there and argues in front of the employees, looking obviously crazy, because I want them
Yeah.
to go home to not see it. She forced it. Okay. And then she told one of them they had
Okay.
to stay. It's fucking crazy. Like, and then I was gonna object to that, but then she starts talking about baptizing the pets. Maybe I've watched too many thriller movies,
Sure.
but like
So
baptizing the pets
you're
from a
like
crazy lady is kind of like,
sure, I understand where you're coming from with this. I wasn't there and I don't think there's a recording of it, but I'm saying like my concern here is that you brought it up like in public when it didn't necessarily have to be brought up in public on a stream where it like wasn't really being referenced. Like it didn't have to you brought it up out of nowhere. Basically, she was laughing at you.
you'd have
You
to
said,
tell
"Am I
me
going
what
to
the
have to
comment I was
do I have to
responding
threaten to
to
have you
is.
committed
Yeah.
again?" I believe this
It
was the
depends on what the
language.
comment is, right? If she's hearkening to the fact that she's going to baptize the dogs again, well, that's why I said it in the first place. Because I was like, listen, and here's the thing, right? I do love her and I do care about her. If three guys broke in, assuming, she didn't just leave with them, I would still rush across and confront three guys, right? It's just, I've been with her for 10 years. But like, I know that if she was of sound mind, and that she thought even if there was one iota of risk that she might accidentally, unintentionally harm one of her animals, she would rather be removed from the situation, right? That's the idea. I didn't want her to do anything that could be irreversible, especially when she comes back to like sound whatever. It wasn't like, aha, I'm gonna get you and institutionalize you. Cause like, trust me, if that's what I was after, like I got the clips to make her look real well, I did have the clips to make her look real crazy. It wasn't that moment. It was the fact that like, wait, you're gonna what do you mean you're gonna baptize the pets? Why? And
Sure,
then
sure,
like,
sure. So
yeah,
I just want to point out we're splitting again back to the
my bad.
original incident, and I'm not talking about the
Yeah,
original
yeah,
incident. I'm talking about when you guys are sitting in the backyard
yeah.
with the dogs are out. She'd asked you not to bring the cigar downstairs. You guys were fighting already, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she was laughing at you because of some TTS from chat, and then you said, "Oh, do I have to threaten to institutionalize you again?" And then you started discussing this whole thing that we're talking about right now on stream. So the fact that you had tried to prevent, the employees from seeing it, and protect her in her vulnerable state. That's sort of undone when you are going to bring it up on a public live stream in front of thousands of people when you guys are having a fight, right?
Well, so you see, I hate going back to the story, but no, absolutely not. You want to hear the craziest part? That day she wasn't streaming, you know what she did instead? She called all of these prominent members of her community, mods and stuff like that, in one-on-one calls and basically confirmed they're crazy. In fact, after that instance, every person on staff who the mods knew was getting spam saying, you got to stop, you got to do something, you got to do something happening. Like, so she already let the cat out of the bag. Very like in a way that we couldn't stop because she was calling everyone one at a time. So like to me, like it's already known, right? It's out there, it's known. If you're a regular viewer, she probably literally called you, right? Again, that's the most interaction her entire community has ever gotten when she was crazy.
Well, I mean,
so, yeah.
I've never heard about it before, and I do drama stuff for like a living as a streamer, so I'd never heard about it.
She's kind of small now, to be fair.
Yeah, I do feel like that to me, that was probably the first time I was watching you guys, and I was
Sure.
like, oh, that feels like borderline to me. And again, I'm really super soy, so don't worry about it. But I was like, oh, that feels like I wouldn't forgive that if somebody did that to me in a relationship, right? Like that was actually beyond what I would, really expect. Here, hold on one second. Pull it up here.
Yeah, if you have
the
part...
this is the lunge, I guess. This
is
the lunge clip. Sorry.
Sure. Yeah, you see, like the phone. You see the pod it's on. You see what I'm saying? And look, here's the thing, right? I give her the phone right back. I just turn it away from me, give it back to her. Right? Literally, I handed it right back to her. It was facing
I'm
me.
Sure you have angles that show.
Yeah,
She didn't say you were physical, in any way, but it looks bad on the stream, right?
It can, but like again, the stream was off for like
I thought these were different
clips
anyway.
Oh yeah, it was off.
You finish. Finish.
It was basically only off for 1 second because I gave her the phone immediately, and then she immediately turned it back on. And like she wasn't hurt, I wasn't hurt. You're right. Absolutely, someone could misconstrue that, but beating her unconscious is kind of that's a stretch. Even hitting her would be a stretch. Hitting her unconscious.
Yeah, but I think she would disavow anybody like making that up, right? Like making that so much bigger. I think she would disavow that too. I haven't heard it yet. That she was saying that it was like okay or good. She was saying that like, well, we also have to control what we do because we made people like freak the fuck out, right? That's how I read it more.
If that is the interpretation, I would argue that her refusing to stop the stream when we're fighting, right, is literally already an open invitation to SWAT. Maybe a lower one than what I did, but like you're already starting down that path, right? Because the best, so like especially like you probably know this, you're a streamer. I've noticed that like I don't think we've ever been swatted when she's not live. I don't think it's ever happened. Right. And the reason why it hasn't happened is because people like seeing that feedback of their swatting make the streamer either get off screen or the cops actually show up on the stream. Right. There's a feedback loop. And so her streaming a fight instantly heightens to a great degree the risk of swatting at all for either party. And here's the thing, right? For the person who says their dogs matter, let's be honest here, okay? About the biggest risk factor to your dogs is not your husband joking about having a cigar. It's that you keep initiating or giving the fuel for swattings and the cops keep showing up and one of these days one of them is loose and gets a little defensive, right? That's the real risk.
Okay. Sure, that could be a risk to the dogs. And I again don't think she's I don't think she's trying to get you guys swatted. I really don't. I think she was basically saying that like, hey, we gotta lower the temperature.
Sure, but you have to understand that if me not intending for us to be swatted either, but unintentionally making it look like that, then I think you have to hold her to the same standard of like, well, you're streaming this thing. You're creating an inherent risk right there, especially since it's not even like a regular stream has a risk of being swatted. Not streaming has no risk. A streamed fight, that's pretty high risk territory. Knowable high risk.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, could be pretty high risk territory. I think you guys had been streaming your fights for a while, or at least streaming like quite a bit of stuff. I know I watched some of the content from before where you guys were fighting on stream. Mostly it was, I think you kind of talking at her a lot. Her not really, I don't know how much, before that night I hadn't really seen her engage back a ton, which I understand that might not be your off-stream dynamic, so.
It's like
fine.
it's a mixed bag. That's why it's so confusing. And like, so here's the interesting thing. I now know, like, not that long ago, found out the whole thing, and like it was as I suspected. Like, and she will never admit this, but in all the fights that have happened this last week, she was mad about something else. And then, it just realized itself the moment, like, there was friction. Because I'm telling you, like, especially that night, she doesn't usually act like that. Like it's subtle because we were a couple for a long time. And so, like, I know how the cadence of our fights usually go. And I've started, I'm stupid and slow, but like I'm starting to catch on, and I'm like kind of going with this rhythm of like, okay, so then we're gonna do this, you do this, I do this. It's like fine, right? But she was absolutely kind of out of cadence for every one of those things. And it was like very peculiar. And I remember at times I'd ask her, "Are you okay?" And she'd be like, "Are you okay?" And it's just like, okay, like she's acting different, right? A little weird. And like, she's trying to say it's me that I'm not perceiving anything. But I found out now from her that like clearly there were other things bothering her. And I've told her this before. I said, if you have an actual issue with me, just talk to me. Ideally off stream, but just talk to me. It doesn't matter if we're having a happy time, and don't be afraid that doing so will lower the mood, because that's the easiest time for us to resolve something, right? I've told her that. And she keeps saying she's gonna do it. She keeps saying she's gonna do it. But then, like, even today, she's mad about something else. And I said, if that's what the case was, why didn't you tell me right in the morning? Right? Because she actually got mad at something from, man, the days are blurring because now it's 3 a.m. here. But like basically the day of this, hitting incident, right? The night before that, she got mad at me for something, but she held it in. And the morning of, she was still mad. And so that's why she didn't want to be bossed around when she was standing in front of the gate. And so it's so exhausting, right? Like now I have to worry that like it's a safety issue for her to be sulking. Like
I'm
it's so
like,
exhausting.
I tend to think of women as like independent. So we're not gonna see eye to eye on that. I don't feel like my wife should have to like listen to my commands. So
That's fair.
yeah, we're no.
Every
But I understand
relationship,
what you're saying.
has its
That
own
it's
dynamic, but
irritating for like the things you expect.
you have to understand that, right? Like, she is quite right wing. She grew up quite right wing, and I'm actually far more moderate. But like, even for me, like there are, and this is an anecdote that I've repeated and beat it to death. You know, I've told her this story, but it's like once I had a wealthy friend in college who their dad took me sailing, right? And then the one rule the dad said was, listen, if I tell you something, I don't care how I tell you or whatever, just do it. Don't ask why, just do it, right? If I say duck, duck, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that happens while sailing, like duck, hold on, whatever, right? You don't want to get thrown off the boat, which is like people apparently are that's the most frequent way in watercrafting for people to die. You get thrown off and no one notices for a while. But basically, and so I tell her that story like, if I ever come to you and I say like duck or do this, like just do it. Like I'm not going to ask you to do that unless like there's a real imminently good reason, and there may not be time for you to ask me why. And so I'm very pleased, and I was very happy that the night of the robbery, the moment I saw her come into view with the three guys, behind her, I said, get down. And she got down instantly. And to me, I was just like, oh God, like, thank you. Like because like, it's not the movies, right? If she's standing in front of them, even if I have a shot to the side, I can't take that shot. Like, there's just way too much risk. Like she had to get down for me to get a clear shot or even get a shot at all. And so like that made me very happy. But then it's like, this is basically the same situation. You're standing in front of the open gate. You literally buy security by the spades. You have this fucking cartel like fucking defense system going up. And you're just going to stand in front of the open gate when there's someone taking pictures of the front of the house and threatening us. That feels pretty dumb.
I mean, I can get why you think that. Okay, I do want to just drive home this one point just on the 5150 thing, because it was actually probably the thing that made me see you guys quite a bit differently.
Okay.
So I can throw it up on the screen here.
Please,
I'll just play it for you, because I think this is around where it was. Okay, you guys are sitting in the backyard. You remember this night, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
right?
English words mean different English words. Got it?
You are insane.
You just said, when you said today,
say that.
So she laughs at you here.
Oh.
Do you need to be institutionalized or something?
You say, do you need to be institutionalized or something?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
This turns into the whole
Yeah,
explaining the rapturing thing.
So obviously, I would go back and not do that, right? But like,
okay,
we'll talk a little bit. It's so hard. Like, this actually gives PTSD to my employees now. Okay, there's a cadence of laugh that she does when she's looping, and like literally, like when they hear it, they're just like, I can tell they're like double checking, because I mean, like, I don't even want to emulate it because it's pretty triggering for everyone. But basically, that entire day, there was this cadence of laugh that she just kept throwing after every one of these like rapturous statements, right? And that was very similar to that. And I'm gonna tell you this, just for your information. This isn't something I know how to fix, but like the phenomenon she has when she takes too much Vyvanse, or like has too much and then has none, or some whatever the fucking thing is. It is so rare. It's like 1.2% of people who like take double the recommended dosage, which is like, how many fucking people do that on a consistent basis other than XQC, right? And so she was of that, but I'm telling you, like, she was never the same after that first break from reality. And maybe if 2022 was actually the first time, because that one was unconfirmed, it just really had all the symptoms and we all suspected, I could believe she went back to relative, and I think she even changed a little bit then, but I would say relative normality. She has not come back down to normal since late February when that episode happened. Like, there's always been something a little off. The laugh is still there. The logic is really weird. She's even more, she was like mildly religious,
well, I
right?
mean,
now very religious.
I can't remember. That would have been before the robbery, right?
Right before, yeah. In fact, if you remember it goes like this. She got real loopy, and then she did the stream where she said the thing that people like. Literally, she just destroyed her entire support network, right? Because if this fight was happening now, and she hadn't said the trans comments, I would be getting reamed way harder, right? By everyone, every girl she's ever interacted with, every girl that, you know, the management company that we own has ever worked with, or blah, blah, every person she's ever collabed with. It would have been fucking a shit show. But she literally, in one fell swoop, just emptied out.
Yeah. Do you think that trans comments did more harm to her like reputation in the sex work community than offering to like give discounts to people who would unsubscribe from another sex worker?
So, dude,
I feel like that's the one. When
I want to describe to you.
I'm like, oh, that actually.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that. It actually wasn't that. Like, based on the DMs and the ratio of them and the level of the creators coming forward about it, it's because the OnlyFans thing is not as, the sex workers hate it, sure. Like, the small ones do. The big ones don't give a fuck, right? Like, the people who are like Jessica Negri size or thereabouts, they don't really care. Like, they just kind of don't say anything, right? And so, like, it was the T thing that just like unfriended by, like, she has a Facebook that's private with like a lot of other, you know, creators and stuff that's actually their Facebook. And like, you know, like, it's just like she dropped like fucking 100 friends, right? Like big streamers, content creators, whatever. And so like, that doesn't matter. Yeah.
I know Kelly brought it up. So Kelly Jean brought it up as a thing that like a lot of Kelly's other, like, she knows people in cosplay and in the sex work industry, they were not fans. So I don't know if maybe Amouranth didn't see it front facing, but I think behind the scenes it was quite a big thing that people brought up.
So I don't want to accidentally, unintentionally insult anyone, but I don't think Kelly Jean.
Misogyny brewing.
It's funny. I've actually met you before.
Wait, what's that? Sorry.
Oh, was that actually Kelly on or no?
No, sorry, that's a soundboard. Okay. That's a soundboard of Kelly.
Yeah, so I've actually like met her before. She won't remember the incident. And I was gonna share it with my chat, but then I was like, wait, well, I don't know if this is tasteful anymore. But anyways, so no, like, I get where Kelly's coming from on that, but like, can I explain that move to you? Because that was a master stroke. Like that,
sure.
That one was a brainchild of mine, and I only it's so I have all these things where it's like these are stratagems that could be interesting. I don't actually intend for any of them to actually be used, but obviously when something relevant happens that makes one of them usable, that's when it's cool to just pull it out and be like, cool, ready to go, right? And the stratagem was this, right? There's like a problem that we face, which is that our OnlyFans constantly gets subscribed to by other girl creators, small ones, right? And you might be like, well, why is that bad? They're giving you money. Yeah, but they're not doing it to support Amouranth. What they're doing is they're copying everything she does, even her language, even like the text in her wall posts that have the videos and the pictures, and then even the DMs. They're buying kind of, which is smart. I think it's smart. They're buying basically our strategy, which has been incredibly successful, right? And so I always theorize like it'd be really cool if somehow we could get rid of all of those girls and have them not copy us, because they're actually not adding value. They're leeching value, because now our videos look like they're copycats if someone else sees their video first, right? It's just bad. And if we could get rid of all these,
that's a cost of being an industry leader, right?
No, of course, but this is why I love this thing. Okay, like so if we get rid of all the stragglers who are only there to learn and steal stuff, right? But also at the same time reach their audience.
Hold on one second,
Yeah,
just so you know, I need to be right back in 2 seconds.
Please go for it. Go for it.
I can hear you. I got Bluetooth headphones. Just keep talking.
Okay, yeah.
Just give me 2 seconds.
And so basically, it was get rid of all the freeloaders and people who are just stealing stuff, strategy, content, whatever. But then at the same time, what if we could advertise to all of their scattered audiences, right? And in a way, like, you know, this thing created that opportunity, because like when she said the T comments, I have this strong belief that like it's really hard to get double canceled in rapid succession, right? And it's really hard to get that done and not, if you're an influencer who doesn't get banned, benefit from it because of the publicity, the density of how fast the earned media hits. And so when the trans thing happened, I was like, you know what would be funny if we released this thing. Right, and I'll explain what it is in a second. And if we release the Kraken, so to speak, right, we are already under the overhead of the trans stuff, right? And so we do this thing, it's either going to be double controversy or no one's going to notice, right? And as luck would have it, basically, the idea was, what if we created a promo? Because let's be perfectly honest, okay? Like Kelly Jean and them, maybe they don't have big enough scale to realize this, but like if you have big enough scale, if you're doing like, you know, 7 figures a month on OnlyFans, you realize that the type of promo that we put out there that pissed all those girls off, that doesn't do what like anyone thinks it does. Like the fans are just going to unfollow, you know, make a video or a screenshot and then refollow the person or resub. Like they're not actually going to leave any girl to take advantage of your promo. The actual trick was this. It got every fucking freeloading OnlyFans girl to indignantly unsubscribe to her and stop copying her, because they saw their subscription money as contributing to supporting Amouranth, even though they're really there to stop copy stuff. So all the freeloaders dropped off, and then all of them bitch post on their own OnlyFans about Amouranth. So literally, we just reached all their audience. They stopped fucking copying us. Like, I love it. Like, and that one, me and her saw eye to eye on, because I don't force her to do anything. I present these, you know, stratagems to her, and she's like, sure, right, or no. And this one she greenlit, and we did it, and it did exactly what I thought. Like, we boosted like 5,000 or 6,000 subs that day from all the people complaining about us. Because here's the thing, right? Only small OnlyFans girl creates about big OnlyFans girl doing allegedly shitty behavior. You realize there's a huge subset of their simps that don't even read the words. They're just like, ooh, another hot girl. Okay. It's so fucking crazy.
Okay, I could totally believe that. Like, I was not analyzing one iota, like what level of business success you'd see from that.
No, it's fine.
I was just thinking in terms of like networking and stuff, having like a support structure, people who like want to support you through rough times. Probably did quite a number on that, considering that even if a lot of cosplayers don't do pornographic content, they probably have a Fansly or a Patreon or a potentially an OnlyFans that isn't just lewds, right? So I feel like that's more. I was just comparing it to that.
No.
I know that
there's definitely an impact.
Kelly specifically that specific stratagem had like actually that was like a way bigger deal than I guess maybe you guys realized. But that might just be in whatever, like a niche group. I'm not even like, by the way, I'm not telling you that it's bad for your business or anything. That's not at all what I'm saying. It was just the whole like making friends and keeping friends
Oh
thing.
yeah, no, but so I love small creators, like, but like it's smaller OF creators that have a problem. Like the bigger ones don't. And like I have like, like she has DMs to corroborate that, but also like, let's name some like well-known ones who are big, right? Like Peach Jars or
Sure.
Jinamiari, right? Like if you go and see how they responded, like they didn't even bother responding to the the re-promo unsubscribe to another girl thing. They were all just going ham on the trans thing. And in fact, they were like egging it so hard. Like it started off, she hates trans, which I actually don't think is true. I think she was commenting on a particular behavior of certain trans activists in that setting. But so, then the narrative becomes she hates trans. Then I see Peach Jars, who was a friend to her, and who I told Kate this. I said, she's not actually a friend. Content friends are not real friends. Kate didn't believe me. And then Peach Jars, Kate was texting Peach Jars, and Peach Jars was like leaking her stuff because of the trans comments. But then Peach Jar kind of twisted the dagger because she was like, she also hates gay people. She's entirely anti, which is like, that's crazy. Like she's never said, like she loves gay people. Like, like her uncle is gay and that's like literally one of her best friends. And so it's like, they just twist it as broadly as they can get. And it's all alternative lifestyles. And then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it was already like this metastasizing cancer. And so sure, like this additional thing doesn't hurt, but what I saw it like was this: I'm dying of terminal cancer. Does it really matter if I smoke another cigar? It's kind of the idea.
Okay. Again, not really any issue with that particularly. Trying to think of where we can go with this. Yeah, I think okay, that's cool in terms of the support structure. I think probably the issue I see with you guys, I'll just cut to the chase, is I can see that Amouranth can be passive aggressive sometimes. After the first fight, I think before that, I think she was pretty clearly trying to make things work. But the biggest concern I had watching this whole night, this fight here, was that Amouranth would kind of laugh at the chat, and then you would try to get even with her directly. So she would laugh at the chat, and then you leaked that you thought she cheated on you with the black dude in Chinatown, and then she would laugh at the chat, and you, oh, what was the other one? The fertility thing was another one that was just brutal. Like she hadn't leaked anything private about you up to that point, as far as I know, as far as I remember. Maybe you can point to something she did, but then you started talking about how she can't have kids, which for me is always a red line as well. It's like very weird to discuss that, especially with your wife.
So the sad part is this.
So
I didn't start bringing that up until she publicly, 2 different times, said that like maybe it's me that can't have the kids. And like when she said those comments, it was already known to be false. She had early menopause. I had done sperm samples because she asked me to, and they were absolutely full of swimmers. Weird to say, but like, so then for her to just misrepresent that once to stream, once to like a group of, actual friends in real life, was like nuts to me. Like I didn't say anything in that moment, but I was like, well, okay, like we're gonna go with the I'm the problem route, and so that was like, okay, we're an open season on that type of shit because I'm telling the truth.
Okay. I mean, that is definitely the case. So I thought, I would have to review that whole scene. I could have sworn I remembered it coming up on your side first, but maybe she did bring it up first and said maybe you're the reason or something.
That could have been a whole different fight, right? Like it's just kind of like I remember it happened. I can't exactly. We've fought so much in the last week. It's hard for me to exactly pinpoint where it happened.
Sure. Okay. Oh, Amouranth said maybe that you didn't want kids.
Yeah, so
have them.
That is also just not true. Even that's a lie, right? I've told her this before. So look, for the last 9 years, she has been resolutely not wanting kids. And I have always, I'm just like a weird dude, I guess. Since the 3rd grade, I've never considered a nuclear family. And I just wanted to have this carefree, fun, kind of vagrant lifestyle. I met her, we both were on that, we were on the same page there for 9 years, right? And then right after this, break with the religious stuff, right? She starts saying, And it's so, she starts saying to me, I don't know if I want kids. Not I want kids. Not I might have changed my mind. I don't know if I want them. And I go, what do you mean? She kept repeating that. I don't know if I want kids. I'm like, but who's talking about that? Like, what's going on? She's like, I don't know if I want kids. Like, just like repeatedly, randomly sprinkling into every conversation we have. Finally, I'm like, I'm kind of a dense guy, but like, occasionally I read between the lines. And so I basically just tell her, listen, two things. One, when you ask me for a horse, you don't say, I don't know if I want another horse. You just say, I want this horse, we're going to buy it. Right? So you don't know if you want a kid, right? Just you either want one or you don't want one. If you don't know if you want one, you don't have one just to find out. And so I told her, here's what I'm going to say to you, okay? And this is still true to me. I told her, if you can have kids, and if you want to have kids, I'm never going to deny you like such a core part of the human experience. I'm never going to do that. 1, 2, whatever. And, I don't necessarily on my own volition would want kids, but I will absolutely, do the yeoman's work of raising them alongside you. And honestly, I believe that I would do a lot more in that department if we have, right? Like in terms of like, teaching them, checking up on them, making sure everything's good. Like, because I don't have as many like other animal, obligations as she does, right? So I offered that to her. Like, Kate, you're in the chat. Did I not offer that to you? I straight up told you, if you want them, I will be there for it and I will do all that I need to do.
So again, what I'm more bringing up is bringing like her medical information, like private medical information that you're like publishing on a live stream. That's more what I was concerned about.
No. So that's already public. That's already very public. Like, I guess she just lost so much relevancy that it's not. Like, you can literally Google it right now. Like, it had to be provided because she had to drop out of an event and they wanted to like sue us and stuff. And so we're like, listen, here is the reason, here is the medical opinion, and here is the doctor's statement, right? We sent that all to them as Lavalada, the big eBay thing. And then they were still unhappy. And like, I don't want a bunch of hate from this, but like, I wouldn't say Lavalada leaked it, but I think Lavalada did put that out in a super public way to like millions and millions and millions of people because they needed a reason why Amouranth was dropping out of the thing. Does that make sense? So that's already out there. If you can Google Lavalada, Amouranth, and then ovarian failure, it's all there. Like, so no, like it's literally been there since what, 22, 23? Like everyone's known, or at least everyone who has ever read an article about Amouranth would have seen it, but maybe they forgot, right? So no, even then I wasn't sharing public information. It's already public.
Okay. Sure. It does appear to be public. I'll give you that one.
Mm-hmm. People have a short attention span, right? Yeah. Like, you can tell people the same thing twice and they're going to fucking be...
Well, sure.
How many times has The Rock tried In-N-Out Burger for the first time?
But you didn't leak it as, like, it was private medical information that wasn't out there. So that
no,
makes
absolutely
it...
not. Absolutely.
Like, I thought it was pretty unforgivable, so I'll actually step back and say, okay, well, actually, that wasn't... So I still feel like berating her with it. It's kind of fucked up, but it's...
a small W.
Like, at least it wasn't you leaking something that wasn't known to anybody.
I appreciate your small W. I'll accept it. No, I agree. Like I said, if I could go back, I wouldn't do it again. Honestly, like, most of our fights are so stupid that, like, if I had known it was going to set her off, I would have been just, like, walking around her. If I knew she was going to stick her arms out, I don't want to be hit. I don't want her to have hit me. I would just walk even wider, right? Like, and that's why I tell her, tell me the issue as soon as you see it, right? Because then I'll be aware of it at least, and I won't fucking run, I won't get corralled by it, we'll call it, right? Because she absolutely does, like, she doesn't partition the anger, so it's like it just spreads if she's angry about one thing. And so she really just needs to, like, bring it up to me. And if we do that, like, I don't know if I've ever had an issue other than like today's, where like, if she brought it up to me, I wouldn't change it. Because I'm not the type of person, maybe this makes me spineless and like not a real man, right? But like, I've never been the type of person to say, my rights, I should be allowed to do this because, blah, 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 right? Like, in the history of our relationship, anytime she's made an unreasonable request of me, if I could do it, I did it. Right? Like one time I was talking to a girl, an employee, who is now our lawyer, by the way, weird world, about a book because she saw one of my books that I was reading, Clayton Christensen, Competition Demystified, and she started talking about it because she had read it. And I was talking about the book, and then Kate just came by and said, never talk to her about books. I was like, okay. Like it's like that's unreasonable, right? Like there's no flirting. It's just talking about fucking a business strategy book. And she said, don't do it. Never do that. I was like, okay. Like there's been so many of those.
Okay.
And she's gonna be like, oh no, there isn't. I could just like start rattling them off where I'm like, okay. Because it's easy for me to do. I can easily not talk to someone, right? But like, you know, go ahead.
I understand that, but I think listen, I don't know if there's any way to like fix things, okay? But I'd say like the first thing you probably have to fix is your want to like start leaking these things. I think you need to figure out if you want to be with this person and or not, and like probably stop taking these fairly private things. Again, maybe not the fertility thing, but absolutely the 5150 thing, the like stuff over the gate code saying it was their social. Oh, there's one more I'm stepping over, but
there wasn't the
like
social
these things,
but also even the
leaking
gate
of these
code.
things.
I mean, this is probably more leaky, but like the gate code is already on Pastebin, man. Like none of what I leaked is actually truly not out there, right? Like there's a reason why we switch it
Okay.
every so often, right?
Yeah, sure, but like, listen, that's not really a good argument. People make this argument sometimes usually when the person leaking the information is like, well, technically, somewhere on the internet that information exists, so I'm not like leaking it. And it's like, well, no, actually putting that information in front of people, especially when you're putting that information in front of people like for the purpose of harassing or upsetting somebody, like that is going to be bad no matter what. Right?
No, I can definitely.
Suddenly, the barrier to using that information or weaponizing that information is nothing because
it's definitely
watching,
not
right?
good,
Rather
right?
than
Like so, yeah. I
having
can
to go
agree with
search
that.
for it themselves.
I can agree with that. Like, there's no way to
Okay.
look at it
All right.
and say this is a positive thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not just that; it's still harmful. It's just not quite as harmful. But like, you might still have like 95% of the harm. Like realistically, you have to go to some seedier parts of the internet to find this information sometimes, and like it's going to be a fairly significant barrier of entry to people, right? Like they're not going to bother to go and look. So, say for the average person, it's probably, I don't know, it's a pretty big barrier. Yeah, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to say. I have a buddy who wanted to come on. Would you take questions from other
Oh,
people?
absolutely.
At all?
I don't
Are you
even
at all interested in
mind.
doing
Like I've always told my chat. I tell my mods this, even though I'm very new to streaming. I don't want a yes man chat. I want people to be able to voice their opinions. I want them to be able to criticize me. I want them to be able to say I'm being a shithead, and I want that to be allowed. Now, I don't want them to spam it like incessantly and block out the whole chat, but I will absolutely talk to a hostile person or a hostile perspective. So go for it.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna add him to the call. Then it's probably gonna bounce us. You might have to re-accept.
Okay, no worries.
So I'll add him to the DM here. All right.
I was just called a liberal
hey, Nick.
bitch man.
Hey,
This is Queeman.
Hey, how's it going?
how's it
He's a
going?
YouTuber.
Cool.
So,
I feel like your name sounds really familiar, so I've probably seen something.
maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's probably not good. Jason, do you mind pulling up the clip of the Amouranth's assault on Nick?
Yeah, sure. The physical altercation, I think we're calling it. Yeah, sure.
Yes. Can you screen?
Oh, hold on. I should screen share. Give me a second. You might have to click on this, Nick, to show it on your screen, just so you know.
Gotcha.
You like click onto it, it'll
Watch
probably
stream?
pop up
Okay,
bigger
yeah.
for your stream.
Gotcha. Cool.
All right. So I got it here. Is there any specific moment you want to watch it from the beginning, or?
I mean, can we just watch the physical part, really?
Okay. Somewhere around right here.
No, you cannot dismiss him. Do not dismiss him. I did not.
Okay.
So, Nick, could we try and pinpoint at which point are you staggering, and at which point do you begin walking away?
I feel like I almost fall twice. The first time was more, kind of like nervous for me because I saw like in my peripheral, I saw the car kind of looming. I was like, oh shit. And then I stumble one more time to catch my kind of thing.
So yeah, can you just frame by frame?
Right there. We got like both feet off the ground right here.
So that's when you trip.
I wouldn't call it tripping. I mean, I don't generally just fall down like
I mean, we can wind it back a moment. Let's go see what happens here.
like there's some
Yeah,
force to that.
pivot, right? Quick pivot.
Yeah,
Quick
there's some
pivot.
force to what she did. Like, regardless of the corralling of a curved arm, like I'm walking, she pushes out her hand like that, and catches me
I mean,
off guard.
you're sort of pushing your hand out at the same time, right?
Well, I'm trying to catch my balance, right? Like you see my hand shoot out, but I'm trying to I'm like flailing.
Sure. So what can we sort of go through this? Or
No,
which do we
please.
think happens first? Do we feel like Amouranth is sort of pushing you here?
I don't think so. I don't
Or
think
are
we
you-
made contact at
Or are
all.
you sort of just throwing yourself back?
See, like
Competing.
in a normal situation, if I'm standing near a doorway, she's telling me I'm restricting her access. And so it's just weird that she can just grab me, even if we want to call it that.
Sure, that could be true, but that doesn't have any bearing on how this is playing out physically.
Oh, no,
right?
sure. I would argue that if I did that, I'd be sitting in jail right now.
I don't doubt that personally. I think you could be like a George Floyd figure for the men's rights movement, to be honest. But I just, with the physical force here, I'm not quite sure how you're getting pushed out so far. It doesn't seem like
Listen,
that's how
I'm going
it's
to tell
playing
you
out.
this. This is kind of funny. She has big fucking hands. Her arms are thin, but they're strong, right? Her hands are as big as my hands, right? Like if we did
Okay.
this, you're seeing her fingers more than mine, on the thing, right? Like so you can say what you want, but like I'm not a particularly big guy myself, right? If I was like a fucking 250-pound, 6-foot dude, sure, I might not have, kind of been pushed off kilter, right? But like there's less weight difference than some of the people that what's his name? iDubbbz was trying to
Do you
pitch her
think you should be
fighting.
able to play in women's sports?
That's good. I mean, if I fucking like let my hair down, I might. I'm pretty enough. I'm androgynous enough to maybe. There you go. I'm a woman boxer. Okay, I'm gonna stop making those jokes. Anyways, they say
Yeah,
I'm balding.
I'm not quite seeing how, quite how you could have been pushed so far. It just doesn't seem to make sense with how this altercation plays out.
I mean, look,
And
if you think I'm exaggerating it, I didn't expect
as
it.
you're walking away here.
I didn't expect it whatsoever, right? Like, so, like, there's no way to lean into something that like just happens to you. But reasonable minds can differ.
There is. If she touches you and then you throw yourself backwards, I feel that's pretty easy actually.
I mean, if you think that's what happens, I mean, it's fine, I guess. I mean, it's clearly, the cops are closer to that version than mine. So it's just
Do you feel
basically
like,
I acknowledge that
Like
position.
what sort of?
Yeah,
Do you think Andrew Tate would ever
Dude.
do this in a clip? Like, do you think he would be caught on
Oh
camera
my
doing
god.
this?
dude.
Hold on. I
Oh,
hate
please.
to throw out a joke real quick,
No, go for
but
it.
I didn't realize how much Amouranth loved dogs. She works with them everywhere. She loves dogs. Oh my god.
See, she has a lot of boxing training though. You have to keep that in mind. So it's like you're like, oh, it
Yeah.
can't be that. It's not that. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's like, I mean, okay.
Sorry.
She's done like I think she's done sparring before even. You know?
Like, what if there was a clip of that happening to John Zerka? Do you think that would ever exist or fly? How
What do you
think
mean?
he
Like
would
like
respond
like
if-
that he would say anything about it?
Well, I mean, just like imagine John Zerka is walking past his girlfriend and she sort of corrals him, maybe puts some force towards his chest, and he goes flying 2 meters.
Are
Do
you
think that would
just to
ever happen?
clarify?
Do you think he would ever? Do you think he would let that video get out to the public? Do you think he'd show that to a police officer?
Just to clarify, are you saying would John Zerka report this to the police, or are you saying would John Zerka trip or be pushed off balance. Because you could make an argument that because I don't weigh as much as John Zerka, maybe I don't know. If I don't weigh as much as John,
stats, like just take personality, right? Equalize stats.
Sure. So you're saying that would he report it basically?
Yeah, would he report it? Would he, even if he was your height and weight, would he travel that distance?
Here's what I would say. I get what you're getting at, Andrew Tate, John Zerka. It goes like this. No, of course not. They would not do that because those guys, look, I don't necessarily agree with them per se, but like, I understand where they're coming from. What they're saying is like, never even have a woman that would do that. A. B, if she did that, they're not sending the video. They're just leaving, right? Or kicking her out or whatever. That's what they would do. And really, I should be doing that. But, I'm in this 10-year entanglement. And like, clearly I, at some point was way too lenient with her or because like when I met her, like,
well, yeah, but I mean, even if they were in this situation, like, how would they regain control in their relationship? Do you think it's by diving like a football player across the yard, or do you think it's by like displaying some kind of value, or say laying down the law?
I think they'd lay down the law, honestly. But you see, like in this particular instance, and this is not a great excuse, it's that she says this a bunch, she cites it a bunch, which is why I think it's probably credible. She'll say, I'm too rich to do X, right? I'm too rich to do X. It's like, sure, right? But like if it starts to be, I'm too rich to fucking, respect or not denigrate you or not, make you feel shitty. Well, you're not too rich for that. Like you're about to be half as rich if you think that. Like that's kind of the thing, right? Like, and then the funny part is like the dichotomy is impossible for me, right? My whole thing is I'm gonna be honest, I've never wanted to work manual labor. I've never wanted that, right? I've always aspired to like knowledge work or stuff like that. And so recently she said to me, you're such a lazy asshole.
You know what John
You
Zerka
hate
says
manual
about gaining
labor.
knowledge, right?
What's that?
You know what John Zerka says about gaining knowledge, right? Men can transfer knowledge to each other through semen. If you swallow another man's semen, you can actually gain his knowledge. That's what John Zerka
Actually, you
says.
take it anyway, technically.
Oh, sorry, you can take it in the ass too, I guess.
Well, I've never heard that
John Zerka
before.
really believes this. He
So
believes
you
this is how the
describe-
Greeks gave knowledge to their
Yeah.
apprentices.
So you described this
To be clear.
this altercation as her striking you, I believe, right? Several times you said she struck me.
I mean, in the past, yeah, absolutely.
No, you said about this. You said this was her striking you.
Oh
You
yeah,
did
yeah.
say you had it on video.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't her striking you though, right? She doesn't strike you there.
Well, so look, I have not gone. Maybe I should, right? I haven't gone in and read exactly what the case law is like on these kind of physical altercations. All I know is I've seen her make these calls, and then she describes it as not even physical. And these guys come in guns a-blazing, figuratively speaking, right? And so, like, I'm like, okay, so I guess, they're pretty strong on not having any kind of physical domestic altercation. So striking, I mean, look, it felt like a strike. I mean, I you can say I exaggerated it, but like, there's no
way that felt like a strike.
You stick your arm out real fast at someone while they're trying to walk by.
No, that she didn't stick her arm real fast. She puts her arm around you, corrals you. What you're claiming is a strike is her like putting some kind of pressure on your chest, maybe. But we actually zoom in really close and go slow mo here. Let's actually really analyze this.
Well, I think the thing is like probably most of the energy carrying you forward here is yours, right? As you're kind of pushing, you kind of, this is like a really poor offensive tackle, Amouranth here, and she like gets her arm out, and she really commits a hold, if anything, and you've totally like gotten by her, and you kind of push through here. Like I don't. She's basically by the time you're going backwards here, I think she's like removed her arm from you.
So
right? Like. If we look
let's
at
go
this.
close. Let's go close and slow mo. Let's really.
As a thought experiment while we're
it.
watching this, I'm almost certain that you guys would feel differently though. Like if I'm walking and then
You
she
want to
sticks
reverse the
her.
rolls?
No,
Oh,
if
no,
we're
sorry,
if
go
I'm
ahead.
walking, she sticks her leg out. Oh, it's my own momentum making me fall. It's like like there's a thing. This I do know about the law. It's like whenever you do something to someone, you don't get to say, well, a normal person, a regular person wouldn't necessarily have suffered that, right? Like if someone has whatever the medical condition is with brittle bones, and then you fucking break their bones,
No, I'm
that's
saying I
just
don't
the
even think there
same.
was an intention to push you. Can we like really go close and like see?
Oh,
see
so you're
what's
saying it's
happening
merely
here?
the
think it's about as
intention
close as
that
we can get.
matters.
Yeah. Let's watch this through. Let's watch. Let's see exactly what happens here.
Can I go forward? Nope. Fair. Well, yeah, we'll see it. Pretty about as close as we can get. Get the arm out here.
So, yeah, you're corralled here, so you've been stopped here. So this should stop your motion going the direction you're heading. So let's keep slow. So she's going around to one side of you. She's holding on to you. She's not pushing you at any
What
point
about
here.
that one right there?
Now her arm has removed. Her arm is so all
I-
the
I-
arm
I
that
still
was
see that as
your body
touching.
has now left your body. Her
That
hand is on
that
your
frame
arm
I
on
see
the
as
side of
touching
your
still.
arm.
Sorry,
Yeah, she's touching the side of your arm with her hand.
you're saying what about my hand?
But no, her hand is
Oh, okay.
touching the side of your arm.
Yeah, let's pull it back just a little bit.
Sure.
So hand on the side of the arm still as you're sort of.
Oh,
going
it was
through.
across my chest too, right? Like it wasn't just like on the arm.
It was,
No,
but
it's
at
on
this
your
point,
chest,
it's
but
not
left your
anymore.
chest by that point, right? It's not.
Sure, at
her
this
arm-
point, yeah.
It's no longer in your chest, and so you're on both feet there. So let's. Is this as zoomed as we can get?
As zoomed as we can get right here. So
Yeah. So you've now you've lost contact. There's no contact now. Amouranth is not touching you, and you've just sort of thrown yourself back. There was not even a push.
I only wish I was like the Jackie Chan joke is like, yeah, like maybe if I'd spent so many years training and doing stunts, I would have had the confidence to lose my balance and to exaggerate it, right? Like no one does that. Like let's be honest here. I would.
No, I think I just watched you do it.
I mean, if you say so, I would posit that no one does that. Like it feels
I
like
think
you're
they- I think they
contorting
do
really,
if they're,
really
like-
hard. It feels like
They're
you're
getting pissed off at
contorting.
their wife after 10 years, and they feel like they're losing control in the relationship, and they've had the police called on them. And they want to try and regain control by calling the police back and giving them a piece of their mind. I think they might do that if they were like a particularly disordered person.
And then okay, like I said, I don't. You realize that falling on the floor is probably going to be more serious depending on how it happens than like anything, bodily she could hit me with, right? And so when you go like
that
oh
even if
yeah,
she punched you
you're
in the shoulder, if you had fallen to the ground, it would have done probably more damage, like if you'd hit your head or something.
yeah, but the other thing is this, right? It's like if I really wanted to make a big deal, I would just let myself fall in the car, man. Like the fuck, like the lady I think is like in the car right there. It'd be like fucking crazy, right? But I wasn't trying. Like you have to understand, okay, y'all are treating it like I'm some kind of super fast reacting superhero, and I'm like, oh, no, do this.
It's not super fast reacting superhero to just sort of like throw yourself backwards. You're like overplaying how complicated or difficult this is when she's touched you, you're like already annoyed with her because she's not following your command, and now you're throwing yourself back to try and regain control and make yourself the victim.
What you're saying is incredibly plausible until you actually are in that situation. I didn't expect her to throw her arms out, and if you think that the moment she throws her arms out, I'm like, oh, I got this one. It's like, come on. Like I was clearly, I mean, maybe you disagree. I was clearly off balance to me. I remember the feeling, and then I had to twice basically arrest
But the feeling doesn't make
trick.
any sense with the footage because you don't fall back until after you're like on both feet. She leaves contact with you, and then you fall back.
It goes back to the tripping thing, man. It's like you stick your leg out, and then it contacts their foot, then you pull it away, and but they continue to fall forward. It's like that's on them. That's on them.
So did she trip you with her foot?
No, but it's the same thing. Like if you start to cause,
but I'm saying that there's no way she was applying that much pressure with her hand on your forearm that you went flying backwards like that. That's like just not what's happening there.
Look, if you think I'm just faking it and doing like a fucking movie stunt to kind of milk it, fair. I'll you can think that, right? Like I don't have really an answer for that. I just think that like it's ridiculous, and let me be honest, there have been way more instances in the past where that would have been way easier to sell, is the idea. And when you say that, like, men losing the power in the relationship, like, let's be honest here, okay? Like, I should leave, right? And she would be in
Yeah.
every way worse off if I did. And she wouldn't even realize kind of the impact until, like, she'd start to feel it, but then it'd be like
Probably,
3 to 6 months out.
psychologically, right?
What's that?
Probably, like, psychologically, because she wouldn't have like this emasculated man-child screaming at her all day. Like,
I mean, look, I've told her this. If she
Control
thinks,
the ad homs a little bit.
if she thinks that, I urge her to, like, just because look, she's asking me tonight to fill out intake forms for counseling. She wants this, okay? I don't know I wish I knew what the motivation was, because if she
the
wanted me
motivation is
around.
she thinks that maybe she can keep the marriage together if you stop being an emasculated man-child. But
You mean the emasculated man-child? She
personally, as an
wants to.
outsider, I
She
don't think that's
wants to be
possible.
married to the emasculated man-child. She wants that.
She wants you to stop being that. She wants to be married to a guy who isn't that, and she.
Don't you just love it when people try to change other people? I don't even think I'm that, but you're saying I'm that, and if she is identifying me as that, well then, don't be with me. You don't get to actually change people. You just get to accept them or work together to kind of reach a more amenable, compromise for both sides, right? When I say the word compromise, okay, she says, no, I don't want to be bullied. Okay. Like meeting in the middle, not good enough.
So you're saying that if you were seen as an emasculated man-child by your wife, you would not think, oh, I probably need to change something.
I'm doing
You would just
very
think,
well
I'll
for
just
myself.
keep shouting her until she stops.
Look, here's the thing, right? Maybe if I'd spent my entire life as an emasculated man-child, which I still don't even agree with the moniker, then sure. Maybe if you
I'm
change.
probably being harsh there, to be honest. I think it's just a case of hurt people, and your tiger parents coming out.
Oh, but I've said that from the get-go. Like I've her issue is that she doesn't believe or listen to, like, anything that I say, right? I've told her before, like, this is how I am. If you're sure you want to do this, like it's I've never done a thing that I haven't, at least conversed with her about. It's kind of the thing. But like, no, like I know my prior relationships. Like I said, I was probably closer to like the whole red pilly thing. I don't think I'm that far right, but like, moderate right. And I feel like I've been doing fine. Like I've never had an issue, never had a complaint. I've never had anyone disrespect me, in anything remotely like this way of any of the people I've ever dated. Right. Like, and so like
It was
with
like
her,
the only romantic relationship you've had for 10 years, right? Like, I feel like this is
sure.
the only person who could have complained, and it seems like they're complaining now.
Well, I've been holding in complaints for a number of years. I feel like you're right. If you say the moniker is, emasculated, whatever, right? Or the lighter form, whatever. I could agree with that, but the issue would not be, as you're saying, me not being that. It would be me changing partners so I'm not constantly, pushed into a thing like where someone's pressing my boundaries, and because I love them and I, want what's better, for her, for me, I think that I'm doing us a favor by allowing it, right? But in reality, it just keeps unraveling. And kind of what I'm touching on is like the 2022 thing, the whole big first drama about the whole me abusing her. It was just another episode of her being loopy. Like if you watch that clip, I've said this before, she just keeps saying I said this thing about her dog, and then everyone just says, oh, he's done this thing to her dog. It's like she's saying it. She's not even of sound mind in that moment, right? Everyone on my staff suspects it, but no one knows at that point for sure. And so the idea is like when that happened, there's obviously two things. You could just say, listen, she had this Vyvanse thing where she took too much, and like I can pull up the article, I guess, like, and then you just enter this near psychosis state, right? You could say that out, and then Amouranth's entire thing would be like, oh, she's kind of like a sick girl, not like, it just hurts the brand and everything so much, right? And at that point in time, we had like 23 employees, right? And so it's like, oh man, this is like a hugely impactful. And so then I was like, basically I'll take the L, and I'm not gonna say anything because I had New York Times, Destiny, people, wanting to talk, and I was just like, I'm just not gonna say anything. I'm gonna let the narrative write
I
itself.
think
She's gonna shape it, and see, that's I think the first error, right?
I just have to tell you, you will literally never ever be happy in this relationship if you feel like you have to restore the L taken from 2022. Like that needs
Oh,
to,
I don't
when
think
you
that.
continue
I
the
don't think that.
relationship after that, you need to be able to bury
I
that,
don't
or
think that.
else
Oh, I don't think
that's
that.
like that seems like where a lot of this comes from. Is I hear 2022 come up in like before you guys get in that big fight, what 5, 6, 7 days ago, before you get in that big fight, 2022 comes up multiple times in your fights.
Yeah,
You
so
guys
I
are
can explain
arguing,
that to you,
you're,
right?
like,
I can
getting
explain that to you.
fights in the car.
No, it's not actually a sticking point about the thing. I've long since forgiven her about the thing. It was more so that, this thing I'm talking about where I'm like, I will just abstain from commenting to the New York Times when they reached out. I'm forgetting the journalist's name, but and then like, Destiny, all that. I'm just gonna like not take those interviews or podcasts or whatever, right? But like, here's what I need you to do, right? You have to understand that, like,
Well,
if I say,
but
yeah.
you did that, so you want to keep score, is what
What do
you're
you mean I did
basically
that?
going to tell me now.
Oh no.
Right? Like,
So
unless
it's a
you're
little
looking
nuanced.
to keep score, then it probably shouldn't be something that really comes up a whole
It's
lot.
not. It's a little more
anymore.
nuanced. So I'm a pretty pragmatic person. I'm willing to like, honestly, like someone does something terrible to me. Like if there's a way forward that doesn't involve a detriment to either of us, I'd still pick that one, right? And so like it's not so much that I'm holding a grudge. It's more so that like I took an L, and it was a very undeserved L. Like almost
Yeah.
easily 75+% of what she said that night was just patently the opposite of the truth. And we can go into that if you want, but like the idea is I took that out and we had a conversation, and she was actually open to me. It's not really her choice, but she was open to me talking to other people. She was open to correcting that. Yeah, she kind of oversaid a lot of things, and I was like, if you do that, it'll just destroy you. It ended up happening anyways because of other things, but like it'll just destroy you, and like you've already done the damage. You can't walk back what you said about me, like, right? Like it's just lingering there. People are going to say, oh, you got gaslit into fucking taking them back again. The narrative's out there, and so how about we consider that we don't say anything, or I don't say anything, right? But like I'm gonna need you to understand this, which is that like going forward, because this overhang of being an abuser is gonna be on me, I'm gonna be scrutinized way more. You're gonna have to kind of wear kitty gloves around any of these types of topics, because even if something is framed a certain way, they're gonna jump to the conclusion, right? And I thought we had an understanding, but like over the 3 years, she's just every opportunity she's gotten decided to state things in the most detrimental way to me possible, right? Like the most recent one was this. She basically said, oh, you coerced me into my contracts, which is an insane thing to say. Like, especially in this day and age, like I can't remember the last time I even handed her a contract. Like we have an agency, we have we have like a hierarchy of staff. Like it doesn't go through me at all. What do you mean I coerce you? And then, so she explains it on stream. This is on her stream, right? She goes, well, my feelings are valid, and I feel like you've coerced me. I go, can you just talk about the actual action that you're accusing me of? She goes, no, it's my feeling. You need to acknowledge it. And so then it becomes this crazy monstrosity of her feeling is that she was coerced into signing the contract. It doesn't matter if that's not true whatsoever in any way. She wants to express it that way in the most damaging way possible, right? Like that's like the kind of issue. It's that like you didn't learn from that situation at all, and you didn't take any of the grace given with even a smidge, a smidge of gratitude, right? Because I'm not asking for much. I don't need to even the score. I just need the score to not get pushed further and further because of the first mover, kind of instance.
Okay.
These are like
I have
winning
to-
stories. They're just like
I have to be really honest with you, Nick.
Go for it.
It took me watching your stream for about 20 minutes tonight to say he's either entirely making this up or he knows the video makes him look so bad that he'll never show it. It took me 20 minutes of listening to your stream because I could hear you negotiating, hey, all I want is for you to apologize, and I knew immediately that you didn't want to release this video. It was just like when you talked about how she was saying the case slur, There have been a couple instances like this.
Oh wait, you're saying
And
that I didn't want to do it,
Unfortunately,
right?
whether or not that's true, I understand that might feel like a really horrible accusation, but it's basically played out, and I look like some kind of savant now.
Wait, just to
And
clarify. Go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I
Well,
was just
I'm
saying.
just telling you that like it looked to me like you would never play this for people. Like basically, you couldn't, or you had some idea of how bad it would be, and then I see the video, and it looks like basically like I totally agree with the police that there's just no way you could possibly press charges on this. I don't think a woman would be. I think this could be. She could have been Shaquille O'Neal, and you could have been like a 10-year-old child. I don't think there would have been any charges getting pressed here. Like I actually don't see it at all.
So just to clarify, when you say that, like, on the phone, when I'm saying I don't want to do this, you're saying that, like, what are you saying there?
It sounds
that
to
like,
me like you are, like, I've watched you threaten doing something and saying, you shouldn't make me do this. Please don't make me do this. When you don't want to do that thing. Like, and I think, it's like shameful to do that thing. And she's like called you on it, sort of like, hey, leak the gate code. And you leak the gate code, right? And I felt like this was the same thing where I felt like you had something you didn't want to use. Probably like I felt like, you're like a physically fit guy. I just don't think there was any way that she could have actually physically manhandled you at all. And so I was very suspicious. And then I heard you doing the bargaining thing. And I immediately in my head said, no, I actually don't believe he has this. And I realized I could look totally insane for saying that, yes? Like, I think calling that out when somebody says they're a victim of domestic violence, for me to say that, that's a pretty insane thing to say. But I had confidence in it from just watching. So I'm curious, how do you think I got a read that ends up looking clearly correct now? If I guess if you haven't been doing some things that are wrong, or possibly like abusive or gaslighted the past couple days.
So I can definitely respect that perspective, right? Like, I understand that. I could see it seeming like that. I will just say that I don't do that. I do kind of the opposite, right? It's projecting strength when I'm weak, and it's projecting, weakness when I'm strong. And in this particular case, I thought I had something. Like, I felt, the force of it. Like, it knocked the wind out of me, right? And you want to call me weak because that happened, so be it. Maybe I was just caught off guard. Maybe it was just struck at exactly the right place, exactly the right angle.
I think you are lying there. And I'm sorry, I actually don't want to be an asshole about this.
No, you're good.
But like, you're literally yelling right after. This is not something when the wind is knocked out of you. I played a lot of hockey as a kid. The wind knocked out of me a lot of times, okay? You cannot yell like this after you've had the wind knocked out of you.
I mean, that's like 3 breaths you could catch in between that. But I mean, I'll accept your opinion. I'm just gonna say that, like, I don't do the thing where I bargain because I don't have a strong position. And like, depending on how the next few days, months, whatever play out, I think that might be revealed. Like, I have a pretty strong position. Like, I haven't even begun to even kind of like really push it. Like, this today was the first thing that I did that I thought could have been potentially irreversible from me to her, right? And maybe that's my naivety, but like, I really am very confident. Like, other than the fact that I'm still attached to this person who I've been with for 10 years, like, I got this in the bag. Like, no question. Like, it's game, set, match if, we actually start launching everything, like, figuratively speaking.
You're both probably set for life, maybe not at the exact standard.
I just don't want to do it.
Like, I don't doubt that you helped build this business and you will get like roughly 50% of the assets no matter what. Like, I don't think you're not set for life. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that, like, I think there are some behaviors here that you might not notice that I and some other people were able to pick out. And I would call them abusive behaviors. And it sounds like you haven't even come to terms with that being a possibility.
I'm happy for you to describe those, because I'm always open
one-sided.
to being called out on it. So please, as much or as little as you
like I said,
feel comfortable.
Yeah, well, I think the 5150 threat, like after she was laughing at you, and I think we've seen a couple of those examples, and then tonight calling the police, but basically trying to bargain her down, and I feel like probably spending a considerable amount of time, we didn't get to it in the timeline, bargaining her down, like basically telling her, you need an apology or you're going to go live. I need an apology or I'm going to go live. I'm going to spill everything. This is what I assume happened. I need an apology, or I'm gonna go live and talk about everything.
No, I
need an
never
apology,
threatened to
or I'm
go
gonna live and
live.
talk about
I just
everything.
went live. But sure, yeah, minor detail. No, like here's the thing, right? Like so you think it's abusive to want an apology, or are you saying that because I want an apology for something that doesn't need to be apologized to is abusive?
Very clearly saying that it's abusive to threaten for an apology.
If that's the case, then that cuts both ways pretty crazily, because like a lot of the times that's what, like, she's gonna freak out, cry, scream until I apologize, right? Like it's the same thing, you know. And when I say scream, I don't mean like in her house. I mean she goes outside in the streets and screams, like a way where it's like what can I do? Like it's heartless if I just let her fucking lay
Unfortunately
there.
for you, I really only have like it's to me it's like about 85 to 90% your behaviors on the tape versus her
Sure.
like negative behaviors on the
That's
tape.
fair,
Right?
No, that's fair. She's very conscious about that. Like I'll credit her with that. Like she is very image conscious and good at crafting it, right? Like for all the strengths that I have, that is not one of them, and I know that, and that's why I have never, you know,
I mean,
actually
if
wanted to be an
you know,
influencer.
30
Yeah.
hours of footage or 50 hours of footage this week is like in any way reflective of your relationship, it's like at least majority you. Let's be serious. Like this is.
I will
You've been
say
going
that
insane
like
last week.
my claim has always been that she acts different when a camera's on, and so you know, take that for what you will. Like I'm telling you, like it ain't like that. Like, you know, when the 2022 abuse thing happened, okay, like originally I was like, okay, so every employee is gonna quit, right? Especially because they're kind of in industry, and it's like, you know, oh, we can't, you know, you can't work for someone who does this or blah blah, right? Like they actually surprised me because I went into the office and they were all there, and everyone had already spread the message that this is not right. And I had at the time a very deeply left wing, like I don't want to like drop names, but like deeply left wing, like they're all watching Hassan all day, right? Like they're deeply left wing audience, and they're like, no, this is not it. This is not real. Like this is a thing, and I didn't say that, right? Like whoever
she's doing
yeah.
like very little in any of these streams, and you are
Oh yeah.
losing your mind. So
Well, she's pressed the buttons
cameras
already.
are off,
Yeah.
like is she acting more like I don't understand? She's not even instigating really. Like it's
I'm not
just
gonna
a
say you're
minor
not
thing where
getting
she's
gone
got-
girled, but like
she's got-
that's what you're basically asserting here.
she's
Sorry,
got
go
an
ahead.
irrational sort of like, you know, concern about the dogs and a cigar that isn't really her concern. Really,
Oh, yeah.
what her issue is probably some feeling that, oh, you don't care enough about the dogs, or, you know, she's just using it to express some frustration with some other thing that she's not saying because.
And it's not anything to do with dogs.
Yeah,
I found out later, right? Like it's just totally in left field. You had to tell me. Like it was not even like in the last. It wasn't even a thing from like the last.
I understand why that's
year
an
and a half.
annoying thing, but the idea that in response to that annoying thing, it starts like a 10-hour screaming match. It's like, well, wait, it's not even a screaming match because she's sort of catatonic for half of it.
Just out of
smirks
curiosity,
for the ending.
just so I can frame this better, are you saying, because like if you watch that clip, she says that, oh, you are endangering the dogs, right? And like once again, this goes back to the thing I said previously. It's like you said I threatened your dogs in 22. I did no such thing. But now people are going to see me, especially being Asian, as a dog eater. And so if you then make a comment on your stream and say I hate the dogs and I, you know, want them to die because I made a cigar joke, I would call that very abusive, and that set off everything else. Like you might see it as minor, and in most cases it probably is minor, but not with the context and the
You've
later
never made
rant.
any sort of like implied threats. Like you've never said to her like, oh, if you divorce.
I'll tell you
me,
the
I'm
closest
gonna
thing.
take
No, I'll
away-
tell you the closest
or
thing. No, I don't want.
You've never said like, oh, I'm feeling really hungry right now, and then
No,
look at the
never
dog
said
and
that
take a
one.
belly
That
or
would,
anything like that.
dude. She would beat me to death, like figuratively, like if I ever like said that. And I like dogs. Like I've never like any of these cute fuzzy animals. I've never wanted to eat them. Like I almost like gave up chickens when I had a chicken. Like you have to understand, like I actually like dogs. Like the ones that she has right now. If we were divorced and she offered it to me, I'd take it in a heartbeat, right? It's not about the dogs. And here's a story that you may not know. When her older guard dog previously got cancer and got a 6-month outlook, right? He had to have one leg removed, and so he could not get into the back of the Wagoneer, which we carted him to chemo with. It was just me lifting it, right? It's 135 whatever pounds, you know, deadlifting it basically. She couldn't do it. For I believe 10 months or so, every day I cooked for that dog a meal, right? And then
Whole steak,
I
right?
take it to, what's that?
A steak, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And so like that dog blew past his 6-month thing into month 10. And like what the vet told me was like, the last time we took his weight, like we haven't seen one. Like they actually told me like they won't just drop dead one day. Like they're gonna stop eating weeks out. He never stopped eating. The day that he died, he ate his dinner. Right? Like I was doing a good job. And like so she has this gripe, which I think is silly. I step up when I see a dire need. She likes to enjoy the warm, fuzzy moments. I feel like both people together is like a perfect mesh of characteristics because when an animal's doing great, I'm like, oh, it's cute. Like I just smile and then like I don't have this desire to roll around with it for hours. But when one is like, on the outs, I'm doing every fucking thing. I'm pulling all the stops.
Can you cut to the bit that explains
Sure.
why this prompted a like 10-hour screaming match? Or
Yeah,
10 hours of you
because she has already colored me, erroneously and incorrectly as a dog abuser, right? She's already put that out there, and now she's going to be callous with
that doesn't actually like in any way justify or explain the behavior. It's just
No,
like,
I'm getting there. Like
you've
that,
got
that's the
some,
setup.
like,
That's the
hang
setup,
up or
right?
trauma in your relationship. that
Sure.
you're not addressing
That's
with
the
the
setup.
over.
No, that's just the lay of the land. I'll tell you. So then, when you say, because I make a cigar joke, that you must hate dogs, you must want them to die. Listen, that is literally, if someone was intentionally trying to fan the flames of, the prior understanding, that's how you would do it, right? Because like I'm neither wanting to hurt them, smoking a cigar, or hating them. The truth is, I'm neither of those three things. So why would you list them on your stream? And then, when I asked you previously, can we not stream this fight, right? She doesn't care. She just kind of leans into it anyways. Like that is like, I want this on stream. I'm going to say this fucking thing. It's going to play very well to the people who, have followed me for a number of years. And, maybe she didn't do it so Machiavellian, right? But like, that's the effect.
Yeah, but I just go back to the same thing. That doesn't really explain or excuse the behavior. You just
No one's excusing it. No one's excusing it.
Screaming fits.
Right? Well, no. If you go and watch that, she screams at me way before. That's the thing I always say. Guy yells at girl, guy bad. Girl yells at guy, guy bad. Right? Girl cries, guy bad.
It's more like girl snaps at guy. Okay, that's kind of bad.
She yells at me first.
You're just.
That's just not factual anymore.
10 hours.
Pick a decibel. She crosses that threshold first. Like she yells first. I have this thing which I'm starting to wean myself off of.
So if someone sort of like raises their voice at you, do you just get to berate them endlessly for the rest of the night?
No, but you get to at least raise your voice to the same decibel so that they don't drown you out.
What does that achieve?
Was that?
What does that achieve?
Well, you see, I agree in most relationships that I've had, that wouldn't achieve anything, right? But in this case, she's kind of like
achieving something here.
Well, let me explain. It's more so that like that is not a path that can be taken, because if she doesn't do this, and like she's listening right now, so hopefully this like hits home. If she didn't do this thing I'm about to mention, then like I wouldn't have to like not let things slide, right? The idea is like when she finds a behavior that lets her, get away with being, you call it slightly shitty. I say it's very shitty, but if she finds something that will excuse her being slightly shitty or like allow that to be, justified or whatever, she'll just keep doing that thing, right? So to go back to that, right? Normally someone raises their voice. If you don't raise your voice, it's not really a big deal. They'll quiet down, they'll let you talk. But in her case, she just drowns me out, and then it's her filibustering, right? And so when you experience that a few times, you're like, okay, so we can't let you drown me out, so I go louder. And then, it's another trap, right? Maybe the guy just doesn't win, because the idea is, she always leads the decibel. And then when I get to a certain level to match her, she then turns around and says, you're yelling at me, oh my God, you're abusive. So,
Okay, and so what about when she tries to like leave the situation? You continue.
I actually have no idea what you mean when you say she leaves the situation, because
were
if
you guys,
you're
like,
talking
arguing
about,
and then she's like going from one room to another, and she says,
I mean,
why are you following me?
Well, I mean, that's just her thing. You have to understand, okay? I was very happy in this room smoking a cigar. She came and called me downstairs to do what I normally do. And I did literally what I normally do, which is make jokes. And it's the same tenor of jokes that I've always made. She then snaps at me. Then she says, get out. So to your question, I don't think she leaves first. She tries to command me to leave after she's, summoned me down. And I was like, I don't have to do anything. Like, I don't like being told, do this, do that, do this, do that. And so, if you're saying that, I wasn't following her there. Like, she literally facilitated and pressured me to go down
She
there,
called
right?
you down at first, and then you started arguing, and at some point during the argument, she gets to a point where she doesn't want to
Look, at any
continue
point, she could turn
arguing.
off her
She's
stream and
leaving.
walk away and go to bed. Like that's the other option, right? And
But
she
why
knows
should
that.
She have to,
Why should she have to?
Wait,
Okay.
Because
I
just
think
because
she did
you
walk away at
started
that point.
shouting.
Doesn't she go and play Fortnite after that? I think she goes and plays Fortnite for like hours after that.
I don't think so. I think it's a continuous fight the whole way through. And we both willingly walk into the studio. I think.
Right,
I'm
you
pretty sure.
absolutely follow her at some point, and she's trying to leave the situation, whether she plays Fortnite. In the
When
middle
you
or not,
say
there
that,
has to be
it's
a
like
point where she's
because
trying to-
if this is the like one of the few streams where you haven't watched, I mean, that's what we do, right? She tells me to come out help with dogs. We do that, and then we both go in and we continue streaming. Like that's just that's not.
No. I mean, after the fight has started, once you guys are already fighting.
Yeah.
There's a point where she tries to move from one place to another. It's like, leave me alone. Why are you following me?
You
It
gotta
was
understand.
continuous fighting after
No,
that, you're
it's
right.
actually pretty simple,
You're
right? Because if I go upstairs and I start streaming, holy shit, I get my door fucking knocked down, right? Like this has happened before. like y'all think I'm the one who's like destructive because I don't take pictures of the fucking shit that she does, right? Like she was every podcast, including Pearl's I was on, she's on that door pounding to get in and then threatening me in the phone to fucking control the messaging. Just know that, like you say Gone Girl, not quite that extreme, I hope, but it ain't great.
Okay, that literally doesn't change anything. You continue the fight by following when she's trying to end.
I disagree. I think that's the normal cadence of what we do when we go down, and I think the fight happening, especially if she's choosing to stream it, means that there's no difference.
You realize that just because you constantly do a really retarded, like inflammatory, escalatory thing in a relationship, it doesn't mean it's like something you should keep doing or that was good, right?
Wait, say that again.
Just because you always do this thing doesn't mean it's good.
Just because you follow that cadence normally, that could be like an abusive or a mutually abusive. It could be abusive or mutually abusive cadence, right? Doesn't mean it.
I don't think the cadence is problematic. I think the choice of doing it then. If you're saying that, I would say the choice of doing what I normally do is probably not great. But like in terms of cadence, no, that's how normally if she didn't start a fight, we then continue streaming, going in there, and then being in the studio.
Let's say you start, you guys get into a fight with, together, okay?
Mhm.
And she turns the stream off when the fight starts.
Okay.
How much different do you think this fight would have actually looked?
It depends because it's like the fights really only happen now when it's like, I mean, this is not like actually the reason she has an axe to grind about something else, but she has to, I guess, light the tinder, right?
And I feel like your response was quite telling there, to be honest. I felt like the fact that you didn't immediately say no, it'd be completely different. I was just freaking out because it was on stream. I felt like the fact you didn't say that immediately tells me that the fights look pretty similar to this.
If you want to draw a quick conclusion, I mean, like, feel free. I mean, like, literally, you're asking me a question and then you're saying this answer is telegraphing.
Well, it just seems like the whole point here is that you repeatedly escalate a fight, and then you're insisting that she turns the stream off so that you can keep berating her. It's not actually because
that's funny.
The fight's going to stop being bad.
So
or
then I would then posit a
It's
question.
just so
If
you
you
can
think
do it
that's the
offline.
case, then like she's streaming it what as a evidence, or what's the point of streaming it if it's the same outcome? Because if it's the same outcome, it's messier to stream it still.
She's literally just opposing you at this point because you're insisting.
Yeah, no, but you haven't answered the question, right?
I want you to control her behavior in that way.
If you're saying it's the same outcome, that's what you're saying, then streaming it only makes all the fallout and all the subsequent stuff worse. So it's still a bad choice. Going back to your thing, bad
happened
cadence.
here before you guys get into like the major part of the next fight.
Sure.
The part where I think lunge at her, right? You guys are up here. I think is this your cigar room or something?
Yes, it's
like
right over here. Yeah.
So you guys are literally muted here. You're still fighting. You're muted, and then she, I believe, tries to just walk away from you here, right? She goes, "Okay, I've had enough.
Here, yeah,
I'm just leaving."
I'm done.
Yeah.
You'll find one day.
Hold on.
Nope.
So
I'm done.
So she's angry. She's leaving. She's walking away. Now, I will say that's her not leaving on a good note, right? Saying we're getting divorced and walking away. She says, I'm going to go stream. I'm walking away. And then you follow here, right?
No,
I think
so
probably what would be good.
I can
here is
agree
to
with this,
not
okay?
Continue this argument.
What's gonna happen is she's gonna go on stream and slag me, which is her right? But then I would just go on my stream and like, you know, say my position. And then now she's back at knocking on the door, right? Like, so I get it. Y'all haven't seen that cadence.
You could pursue that could happen, but that's not.
I mean,
what
it's happened
right? We're
every
looking at
time, but
what's in this
sure.
case.
It has literally happened
But
every
it
time.
seems like you
I've
don't
been
actually
streaming a
think this
week
fight would have
every
played out much
time.
differently if it was offline.
I've only, like, you could probably count
So-
the number of streams I've done as 7, 6 out of 7, right? And that was even the worst
How
fight
many
of all
times
of
have
them.
you guys threatened to divorce each other during a fight?
Jesus. I don't
Yeah.
know if there are
So
numbers
this
high
fight
enough.
wouldn't have played out much different off stream, right?
I don't
So
see
you
how
could probably
that.
just
I don't
each-
see how
if
that
someone-
makes any kind of indication. But sure.
The thing is that for you threaten divorce as a thing of leverage. It's like, I'm gonna leave you because you're not doing this thing.
What's the
Amouranth is
leverage?
threatening divorce,
Out of
saying,
curiosity,
I'm
like,
disengaging,
especially from the outside looking in,
leave me alone. That's what she's doing there. Right?
it's a cute claim, but like, I would love to hear what the point of leverage is. Like, what is she losing that you can perceive here if I threaten a divorce, other than just, you know, my presence, which she seems to dislike anyways. Like
what
what are I?
have an agreement about the splitting of assets, like threatening with divorce.
So you're saying an
threatening
equitable
for
split of
assets is
assets? You're saying an equitable split of assets is leverage? So are you saying she's entitled to my half or something like that? Because why else would it be leverage? I mean, she feels that way, which is crazy, right?
It just is leverage. You can withdraw like half of it. You would cut her income.
You mean my money,
basically,
my
right?
half of the money that's already post numped? I don't think that's leverage.
Yeah.
That's not leverage.
Wait,
That
hold
is
on.
leverage.
Is
You're using that as
future
leverage,
income
right?
included in the post up? Like some form
She's
of,
trying to
alimony?
fight that really hard, but here's the saddest part. Ready?
Wait, what is she trying to fight really hard?
No. First of all, I told her straight out. I told her straight out, like, it'll just be Amouranth licensed to. Well, I don't want to like leak LLC information, but Amouranth licensed to this LLC, right? And then this LLC is going to be jointly owned by us. You know, if we get divorced, you're obviously going to get a 51% vote stake, where, like, you know, you can decide whatever happens because it is your name. But like, obviously, I helped you build this. Like, every social media is like 99. I'm not even exaggerating here. Other than her Twitch, right? Which I'm not going to lay any claim to. I've helped with programming, but that's her. Every social media account, the millions of followers, right? At one point, like over 10 million across the thing, 99.999% I did. She is pretty not great at understanding even how to use it. Okay, so I built the brand alongside her, let's just say, right? And so I've always thought, and we've always agreed, that it's pretty fair to split it down the middle. But, you know, once the money got to a certain, you know, nominal number, suddenly, you know, she is not feeling that way, which is crazy to me, because you would think that, like, the bigger the number, the easier it is to just, you know, but I guess you could argue that's the bigger the number to part with, right? If she feels entitled to my half, well, I agree, it's
I think
leverage.
So is it just
Probably
sort of
more
like a yes
that-
or no on the is it like 50% of future income? That's sort of the thing we look.
Oh
at
yeah,
last
yeah,
week,
yeah.
right?
It's
All
50.
income from the LLC, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
50%.
Which, do you think that's fair when you're not really participating?
Oh, absolutely.
In the LLC anymore?
Absolutely. And like, it's funny because I've now started to realize this. Anyone who doesn't have like a pretty strong business background, like, is detesting that. Like, she detests it now, even though we had an agreement, right? Because like, once you have that business background, especially if you're like in anything dealing with startups, you realize that, like, you know, employee number 2 at Google leaves, you know, year
I
5.
feel like whether it's fair or not is kind of less important than the fact you've just acknowledged that she absolutely hates the idea. So the
Now
argument
she
is
does. When the
leverage
number got
because
high
it's-
enough, you have to kind of, like, you're taking like snippets of what
Well,
I
the
say.
point
and
was
moving
you
it.
were saying well, it can't be leverage because I'm entitled to it, but you know she detests the idea of losing it, so that you could still use it as leverage.
So,
in a
okay, here's the thing,
relationship,
right? That form of argument is like, it's a pretty broad definition of leverage, because what you're saying is basically things
No,
that you're
no,
not
it's
entitled
it's
to.
saying
Things that you're not entitled
entitled.
to are potentially leverage too. It's like, no, I would say that, like, most reasonable people, when they agree to terms and they both willingly sign a document, that, like, anything beyond that, like what's stated on the document, you can't say it's leverage, that like she feels
Let's try a
entitled to the
business
thing that's
transaction,
not in the
we're not talking
contract.
about a
So,
business transaction, we're talking about your
I
marriage.
think we're also talking about the thing where her animals are part of that contract as well, right?
That is a thing that she asked for, and I believe I went above and beyond to achieve.
So she asked for the animals, and you went above and beyond. I believe to say you wanted to include future horses. I think before
yeah.
that it already included the horses, right?
Well, before that, no. So there was no amendment. These are all just like you know, me showing her drafts and then her sometimes weighing in. Other times I, put in something that I know she will like and appreciate. Man, like you guys, it would be funny for y'all to interview her on this because like the takes about this postum are the most comical in the world. She goes, well, I don't know what's in it. I go,
So-
I gave it to you to read. I let you review it
Could
as much as you want. I said you could go see a lawyer. She goes, well, I didn't. So you coerced me. It's like, wait.
could I
You're saying-
could I just ask
Go for it.
with your assets? So she's got like the animals. Do you have any specific assets that you've put in the post up that like just go to you? Similarly, are there any specific assets?
It actually is more the other way around. Because look, I'm a very accommodating person. Like I know y'all think I'm this like evil manipulating guy, but it's like, or maybe not both of y'all, but like the idea is like, if she says she wants something, I generally, even in this divorce type thing, like, okay, let's see if we can do that, because she asked for certain carve outs on
So
assets.
you don't have any specific assets earmarked just for you, like nothing like your watches, for example.
Oh, well, sure. So both of us have a thing where it's like jewelry and what they call, and there's a list of exactly what it is, personal property, right? That is,
Okay.
our own intrinsic thing, right? But like, if you talk about like this particular stock, that particular private equity, that particular piece of real estate, no. The only stipulations are on
Between
her
like the
side.
jewelry, sorry, I have to ask this
Oh, yeah,
question.
sure.
I really have to hammer in on this. So with the jewelry,
Mhm.
your jewelry is about equal in terms of its value.
Not even close. But here's the way it has been. I've looked at it. Like watches for me, which is like basically the main form of jewelry, I guess. Watches for me is a net value add activity. Like if I didn't have any other income
Sure.
stream, I could make money on the watches, right? And so to me, like you could
Yep.
say that, oh, it's unfair that you have a bigger asset base here, but it's also like, well, are we comparing it to like her horse asset base or desire for additional land?
Yeah,
and
so
then, yeah.
that would actually be my question would be
Oh, yeah.
basically for all of your personal assets, it would probably be really fair for you to say, okay, we have all of our liquid assets, anything we could sell or anything that could be like reasonably traded, even if it's like a mutual fund or something, can go in one bin, and then we'll take these personal assets like watches and stuff. We'll say, okay, we're valuing them at this amount, and then we'll take to make it 50-50 after that, right? So that you don't have 10 or $20 million in watches, and then it's 50-50 from the mutual assets after that, right?
So,
You know what I mean? Because if you
No.
had, let's say, like $5 or $10 million in a watch collection, it'd probably be pretty unfair for that to be excluded entirely versus her horses, which unless they're roughly equal in value. If they're roughly equal
Also,
in value, that's totally
I can
fine.
easily assuage that, right? Like, so the idea is of a post nub, especially if you have one where, and again, the watches thing, I don't even know if necessarily I or her stipulated that, or if the lawyers were like, this is fair language, right? I don't even know, because that was not something I specifically asked for. But the idea was like, if she has a preferential kind of thing for like certain assets, well, then you're already kind of attacking potentially the axis of fairness, right? But I've always been obliging of that. She wanted the real estate, like the real estate in terms of this house, the other house that is a rental property, various other tranches, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool. But like, obviously, if you start saying you want the real estate, okay, well, then are we looking at the market value of the real estate then? Or are we looking at the market value now? Like, how are we splitting this? Because there's a possibility where if you split it now, that those things will grow faster than, let's say, the stocks, right? So it's already inherently unequal. And you could also argue that my watches could dramatically fall if there's like a bear market for watches, right? So you're talking about assets that have market values and spot prices where it is very hard to be perfectly fair exactly down the middle, but I strived, and I think everyone in this case strived to make it as fair as possible a priori. I get what you're saying, though. It absolutely could be out of whack, just like the real estate could be out of whack.
Basically, the way I would look at it is I personally, if I were a judge looking to evaluate this, I would get essentially every asset appraised, and then I would see what the split is of the assets. If it's more than like 60-40 in a direction, I would say this is obviously ridiculous and we're tearing it up. That's probably how I evaluate it as a judge. Do you feel like that would be unfair?
So, broadly speaking, no. But like the way our assets and the types of assets, it would be a terrible idea. Because the easiest thing I would attack is, and if you're not a finance person, I can like use different terms, but it's like, are we looking at the market value or the book value? Are we looking at the price it costs to buy originally, or are we looking at now the current market price, right? Because then you're already making really deterministic things there, where you're saying like, if you're talking about buy price, well, that thing might not be worth anything now, right? So then you're at a greater than 60-40 disparity. But if you're looking at market price, well, if you've cherry picked certain assets that you definitely want, and those grew faster, well, then you're still out of whack, right? And so while I agree broadly with yours, it doesn't work with us. And then here's the final wrench, which is the worst one in terms of like 60-40 regulation. Book value, as I said, was acquiring value, right? Like the value an asset costs, right? We have tons of book value, basically almost $0 assets that are worth like $10+ million, right? And so when you say that, it's
I
like,
mean, the LLC would be a great example, right? You something that when you built it, it literally was worth nothing, and now it's like a massive OnlyFans empire.
That is
right?
true, but I'm more referring to deferred tax liabilities and real estate depreciation, right? Like those pieces of real estate are on the books as costing us virtually zero. Honestly, it's like less than zero because we actually got paid to own it. It's a weird thing. And so like if you look at that, judge is gonna say it costs fucking nothing. What the fuck, right? And so obviously giving her precedence for that is already giving her a huge advantage. And so like it's just her preferences, on which assets she wants. And obviously no one can control which assets end up appreciating faster.
Sure, but then I would say probably on the split of the like roughly close to the divorce date, you can even write in language that says like, "Hey, this needs to be reevaluated if market price drops by more than 20% on a watch or something like that," right?
I think that's
but you would
dumb,
say,
though,
"Here's the
but
market
yeah.
value of the watch. Here's how we're evaluating it. If for some reason on the day we actually split these assets, the market value drops massively, like, or you could even write in like, hey, because of the risk of a drop in the price of the watch, we should write something in on that." But I think it's probably something that needs to be addressed, and
it absolutely could be.
So basically,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about coercion or anything,
Sure.
but I think your wife's not particularly financially savvy, and so if probably based on market values, you guys had like a 60-40 asset split in your favor, I would be very concerned that she didn't really know what she was signing.
If I thought about it right now, I don't know if it would be 60-40, and I don't even know which direction it would be in. Right? Like it's so hard for me to actually figure that out without going in and looking over every position that she's earmarked one by one, right? Like it's just, look, the idea is this, and I get it. I agree with you. Like in a perfect world, precision, easy, right? But there's like a trade-off to precision here, right? Especially in finance. It's like, okay, so you say the day before the split, but what about the day after the split? Is that really that much different? And so you're never going to hit perfect fairness. And so I always think it better be approximately fair than precisely unfair.
I probably would agree with that, but I don't like that. That would be you'd have to talk through like with lawyers and accountants about what approximately fair is. I probably that sentiment, the words, I would agree with, but precisely, you don't have to get so precise, and you can write things in for like you said, maybe they'll watch the market value, the spot value in the watch like halves overnight. Like maybe something gets written in for that. I don't know. Right?
I will give you a interesting line, which I guess summarizes kind of where this all sits. I would give her my entire watch collection minus my grandfather's watch, which is sentimental value, has almost no real value. I would give her every watch in my collection if she agreed to give me all the gas stations, easily. So if you want to play, that game, like it's like, okay, well let's do this swap. I'd love. That's a fucking great asset. Like I can already tell, like that is gonna be a huge value driver, and it's undervalued right now. But like you see, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm willing to tell her that, and then I'm willing to let her even pick various real estate assets first, right? Like that's what I'm saying. I think it's very fair. Like the way I look at it is this, right? Like you say she's not financially literate, right? It's not for lack of me trying.
Mm-hmm.
I keep trying to talk to her. She just doesn't want to listen to me. I've said so much to her, and then she just doesn't bother to retain it. But so in my thing, it's like this, right? Like there's an old adage of like two kids. They're both gonna get a pie, right? Or a cookie. Let's say cookie. They're both going to get one cookie to share. The parent says the first kid divides it, the second kid picks first, right? For me, right? Like she even kind of divided it too because she said, I want these things. I was like, okay, fine. And now you pick first. That's how I equalize it. And if she wanted my advice, now once again, or lawyer's advice, she could seek it. That's never, ever, that's been encouraged, right? And it should probably be a lawyer's advice.
But you're
like,
basically saying, I'm going to go to my financially illiterate, emotionally driven wife who has made claims that, I might not be a huge fan of her animals. She's going to pick her animals, right? And I guess some real estate, like you said. And then I get to pick whatever else. And I'm just saying that probably the asset split needs to go around needs to be done after calculating the value of those specific niche items you've included. That would be to me. But realistically, I'm sure I'm not going to be the person litigating that.
No, it could, right? And like I said, it wasn't really conscious carve outs by me, and certainly not on a value basis. It was more so that the animals are valued at $0 in this. So she's just getting all the animals. That doesn't count as any asset. Just FYI. And then her jewelry, same thing. My jewelry, same thing, right? And then we get to her picking the stuff first, and then the divide down the middle, right? So I get it. There could be dislocation, but who knows? One of her horses wins the Kentucky Derby, all bets are off, right? But I think it's roughly fair, and I would be pretty happy with having a third-party lawyer examine it, and I don't really particularly think that they would. Look, there's little changes like you've suggested that they might say, but I don't think anyone would say this is glaringly terrible. I mean, at least knock on wood right now, if something crazy happens and Godzilla steps on all my gas stations, maybe it goes the other direction.
Okay. Where were we here? Oh, I had another question. Fuck. Oh, it was in this post-nup. Is this post-nup affected by infidelity on either side?
Oh no, absolutely. Oh no, sorry, absolutely not. It is bulletproof on basically any behavioral aspect. And that's not something I snuck in there. That's more so something that that's pretty basic for post-nups, obviously. Or usually. Prenups and post-nups, actually. Even I feel like in most, even I think in Texas, I know in certain states, even if you didn't have
I will just say,
doesn't
just
matter.
because you said it, that the jewelry and the animals are valued at $0, I think that's probably insane as
Wait,
far
what
as
do you mean?
the split goes, right?
Wait, why is that?
Valued at $0 in terms of the post-nup? Just because the jewelry collection is so much more expensive than the animals.
Well, it's her jewelry's too, right? Her jewelry too. And I get what you're saying,
but I'm saying that I'm guessing based on the $2 million watch that you were wearing.
Which didn't cost me $2, by the way. It didn't cost me $2. That's just it didn't cost $2, right?
Sure, but it would be the same as if you'd bought Nvidia while you guys were 5 years into your marriage, and now 10 years later it's you bought it for $300,000 or something, but it's now worth $2 million, right?
Sure,
appreciating assets within a marriage appreciate. That's what happens.
I mean that's broadly true, but the way, look, like I said, if this marriage were to break up, in 10 years, 20 years, it could easily be literally the opposite scenario for the same reasons, right? The watch market goes down.
All I'm saying is market value. That's what it would come down to.
No. If you're saying right this moment, maybe it looked a little out of whack. I don't even know if it would. I'd have to really look at the real estate because they're carried at book value and they're way higher market values, right? My figurative mental thing is if she was willing to just give me all the gas stations, I'll give her all the watches -1, and it's not even the $2 million one, right? That's where I feel I think this is pretty fair, right? Because if I would rather have another thing that I'm allowing her to have, I don't know, right? She's choosing first, she's choosing first. Is it really my fault if she doesn't seek advice for her choice? I don't even know if she didn't, or if she chooses to choose without knowing. I don't think that's my fault, right? And I think giving her the first choice is already leaning it heavily in her thing. I'm not even picking; she's picking. I'm getting the leftovers.
That's not really how fairness works, right? You can make a deal with somebody who's not very good at making that deal, but taking advantage of someone, it is still.
Oh, that's not taking. No, absolutely not.
Even if she, she should know something better.
I'll give you a counterpoint.
But
I'll give you a counterpoint. It's not.
I think you're aware.
It's 0% taking advantage. I feel 0% bad about it. I'll explain why, right? If I let her pick and I get the half that's left, how the hell am I manipulating her? It's literally her choice. I just get whatever she leaves me that's not what she wanted.
Because
I don't see how
think
I could.
realistically, it should be 50-50 on assets roughly, because you guys have been in this marriage, you built your business together. I'm never going to take that away from you, okay? It should be roughly 50-50. And you know that based on some choices she's making and the choices that she's going to sign for, she shouldn't give a fuck about your watches, that you can sneak a whole bunch of other value in there.
I highly disagree.
You're aware of this, and she is unaware of this.
I highly disagree. Snuck value in, like everything is listed on a schedule when it happened, right? Like when you say snuck value in, like what do you mean? Like someone didn't know or someone didn't read? I don't think any amount of ignorance can be explained away by choosing not to read something, right? It's all there.
So I think basically,
You surely
would you
know
be-
she's probably not.
What, she can't understand that a
right?
bigger number is bigger value? Like, come on, let's not infant to, like, let's not treat her like a baby. Like it says this is the asset, this is the market value currently, right? So what? She can't say, oh, this is bigger than that number. That's a bit much.
did she
So
have
it's
a
listed.
lawyer that was her lawyer primarily look at this for her? And I'm not asking if you said she could have a lawyer look at it. I'm saying, did she have her own lawyer look at it and okay it
So
and basically walk her through the implications?
if I had to guess, okay, I don't think either of us had lawyers look at it.
I hope you don't have to guess. I hope you would just know.
Well, look, normally yes. So if I take her at her word, no, and same with me, no. But like,
Okay.
obviously, a team of.
What do you mean? What do you mean? No, with you didn't have a lawyer look at it. Did you not draft it with a lawyer?
Oh no, like basically, she gave me, and she's like in chat trying to say like, oh my god, I was never added to the email value chain. Okay, two things. A, you got to look over every draft, every change. Okay. B, I'm pretty sure you're in the email chain. Someone else manages your email currently. You have access to it though. 3, okay. Literally everything that could be explained, everything that you asked to be put in there was put in there. Okay. I pretty much went with default choices for everything that the lawyers who drafted the contract did. I don't believe the lawyers who drafted it were either mine or hers, probably just both of ours, right? Business lawyers
Whose instructions did they take on how to draw it up?
Well, so like again, and they take instructions from Isolani. It's whatever, it's fine. Isolani and like we both own half and half of Isolani, so I don't see where the issue is. It's like I get it. Like
what is
in a-
Isolani is like a
holding company. Yeah.
LLC you guys have?
Yeah.
Okay. So they take instructions from Isolani. So on behalf of Isolani,
Isolani retained the lawyers, is my understanding, and then we both own half of Isolani.
And those lawyers know that they represent both of you equally, and those lawyers were the ones who sent
Well,
the
just
instructions
to
whoever
be
was drawing up the list.
precise, my understanding is it's not so much. So here's the thing, right? It gets messy here. When you say equally, it's because you're taking two jumps. You're saying they represent Isolani, y'all own half and half, so it's half and half equal. I don't know if a lawyer would characterize it that way. I think they would say it represents Isolani, and then the beneficiaries is a separate matter, right? The me and her owning half, that's separate. It's like basically divide
So
this
they're doing
up
what's
in a way
best for
that
the
makes
business,
sense for preserving
not what's
value
best
for. Sorry, what?
either of you guys. So they're doing what's best for the business, not what's best for you guys.
I mean, that is the leap that like. So look, obviously, I know that we could hire that lawyer to draft it, and then we could each get our own lawyers, right? It's just not my understanding is what either of us end up doing, right? She keeps saying right now that she thinks so it's so crazy. Like her chat, like there's all these chat lawyers in her chat, and they're telling her like all these tricks about fucking post numps and how to wiggle out of it. And I'm just like, dude, like, did you take advice from these guys when they read it? I don't know if this thing is not public, but obviously either of us could choose to make it so, right? And so the idea is like, did you share it with one of your chat lawyers? Because I don't understand what the fuck you're grousing about in terms of it's unfair. Like, I feel like you're just saying it could be unfair, which is like crazy because anything could be anything, right? I don't think it's unfair. I don't think anyone who's reasonable and understands the logic that went into it would construe it as unfair. I agree that there is a potential for unfairness, as with all things, right? But that was not the aim. That was not the intent. And I don't think that that's what will pan out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020. I feel like if you're drawing up an agreement like this, I think you would have to have. I think the entire purpose of like the legal system, having your best advocate. If you guys don't have that individual advocates, that's probably a recipe for disaster, right? But I no, not like we can go back and fix it now.
Again, the
Without
period,
advocates for both of you, then yeah, I'm concerned somebody could be getting kind of screwed over.
I just to give you the context. No, like, could someone be getting screwed over? I mean, it could be either me or her, right? Like it's like you said, market value dependent, which I don't think anyone has actual any control of. But like during the period in which the post stuff was being drafted, which took a large number of months, it was weird because like we almost thought that was the solution to the marriage, basically, right? Because it was like we fought a lot, and then like the theory is that maybe the angst or something like that is causing it. And so then once everything's defined, then there's no more angst. And during the entire period of time the contract was drafting, or they're working on it, that was true, right? In a weird way, it was in the aftermath with all this weird suspicion she suddenly has, where like she's throwing a stink about it, because it was a relative lull, and like there's multiple texts of her pushing me to push them to do it faster. So it's not like I coerced her to do it at all when she's asking me to do it quicker, faster. What's the progress?
So why was she asking you to go faster?
Well, no, the
That
lawyers
would
are just
be
taking a long
very
time.
interesting to me.
The lawyers are just taking a very long time.
Why
because
was Amouranth asking you to go faster? So
She
she
felt-
wasn't really looking at the particulars of it, but why was
she
asking
felt
you to go
it
faster?
was slower than it should be, and I agree. This fucking thing dragged, and the main reason was kind
So
of the thing.
I'm
that
not. I'm not asking whether or not she felt it was slower. I'm asking why was she concerned about it being slow?
So she
What
would
was her
now.
primary concern.
She would now frame it as because she is afraid I might do something to the animals, but like again, unfounded, and like it's just an irrational fear. But I get it's a valid fear if she has it, but like that's what she would say now. At the time, I think she just wanted everything defined because she was under the assumption, as I kind of was, that as soon as we get this thing drafted, the pressure's kind of off and everything's defined, and we don't have to ever squabble about this bullshit
Pressure
again.
of what? I'm concerned that like. So did she ever verbalize this in texts or in emails that she was concerned about her animals in some way and she wanted this? Because like that
Oh,
seems to be what
absolutely
she's
not.
saying now is the
Absolutely
pressure was
not.
from.
And
Did
I would
she-
challenge her. I would challenge her without fabricating it, like to find that. Like honestly, like find that for me unfabricated. Especially during this time period, because there's no like it was probably one of the.
What was the pressure coming from? What was making you think that?
You have to understand this,
the
okay?
assets were a source of pressure.
It took me a long time to realize this, but Kate over indexes on the visceral, irrational fear, right? Like she actually thinks that like at times, even now, she thinks that I might kill her with a gun. And that's insane because I've never pointed a gun at her. I've only pointed a gun at bad guys.
I mean,
and
I've been watching your streams for like 2 days, and I think you're gonna kill her with a gun. So
So what?
I don't really blame her there. I've been watching your streams for like 2 days, and I think you're gonna kill her with a gun.
You're saying
So,
I would get killed by a gun?
No, I think you are
No.
going to shoot her. I think you are going to do a murder suicide or something. I
You
that's
think
how
that?
you behave in these fights?
You think that?
Yes, that's how you come off. Yes.
I mean, no. It's just that's just what you think.
That's probably a hyperbolic way of saying that there's a lot of emotional dysregulation going on and like escalations that don't seem like rooted in logic at all. And it's getting past the point where like you could say anything that's worse than what's been said, and I would expect it to continue escalating. So I would be concerned in that way. I think he's just being hyperbolic about it.
I don't think I am concerned because look, I know, and I guess she should know, that the cards are in both of our hands currently, right? Either of us could exit this thing and be fine, like y'all said, right? If you want to, split hairs on how fine, sure, but like both of us are fine. And so I feel like there's a real easy de-escalation path, but like, I'm still attached to her. I think she is too. And so there's like this, like, it's this weird impasse where it's like, we both see the benefit of being out, but we both kind of yearn to be in. And then that's the weird kind of yo-yo thing that's going back and forth. So I don't think that's a risk at all. Because I think the craziest it gets is I actually just leave and go file, or she goes files. Like that's the pressure relief valve. Like literally y'all have to understand that like obviously killing is wrong, but like killing her achieves nothing for me. I don't want her to suffer or whatever. I just, you know, in
You're
these
doing a
particular
lot of things that aren't really achieving anything for you in the
I
moment.
think leaking the gate code really got nothing. Yeah, no positive value attained.
well, I feel like now she's more willing to mute it at certain times. But I agree with you.
Well, yeah,
It shouldn't be
that's what I'm
done,
saying.
right?
Maybe she
If you're
wasn't willing to
saying
mute it, and
if you're
maybe then
saying
you shoot her and then yourself in a
if you're
fit of
saying
rage.
like I said, if you're saying that like it's not great or it's not good, sure, right? If you're saying that it's very likely it'll be murder suicide from my end, I think that's ridiculous. Like I think that's ridiculous. Like it would far, 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 and you don't have to worry about me. I'm fine. Far more likely be I just shoot myself. Like honestly, I just have zero desire to hurt her ever, right? Like that's just the thing, right? Like there's been times in the past, like I've alluded to, she's gotten physical. I don't even have the reflex to even think to go physical back. So I feel pretty comfortable.
Okay.
Like it's not even like I'm like, oh,
e-
I gotta
even
get you
even
back.
a reasonable person might look at the way you're behaving, or even not even just a reasonable person, but maybe your wife might look at the way you're behaving, see someone who is acting irrationally escalatory for no perceivable benefit, and then start to fear for their safety.
I don't think I've been irrationally escalatory at all.
Okay, well, I would challenge you to watch back the stream of you guys
Hold
not even screaming at each other.
Just
but
give me
you,
give me give me a
fucking
couple of
mental.
what are instances of
Just saying,
irrational.
leaking the gate codes was irrationally escalatory. Berating her about her fertility was irrationally escalatory. Um, I don't. There's probably more I can sit here and come up with, but there's several things that were
So
irrationally
wait,
escalatory.
escalatory
for
as
no
in
perceived benefit.
escalatory as in it merely. You're not saying it
When
started.
you're attempting to inflame the situation, you're doing things that do not de-escalate the situation, aren't even neutral, but are only going to increase emotional tensions.
So just to be clear, like, are you saying that that set off like the beginning of like that near term amount of escalation that me and her had, or are you saying that it is merely an act that could escalate it regardless of whether she's escalating also? Because that matters, right? Like if you're saying it starts it, no, right? If you're saying it is a isolated, it's an action of escalation. Well, yeah, both of us were doing that a lot, right? So like which one?
No, not both of you were doing it a lot. She was doing it like once every now and again, and you were doing it like constantly. There were like a couple times where she was smug or
once every now and
undermined you in
again,
some way.
as in what?
But there were no times where I think she was quite berating you in the way you were berating her. Now, she did call the police later on as well. That was probably irrationally escalatory, I'd say. But, I mean...
And then kind of didn't dissuade the swatter. There was another irrationally escalatory, especially when I was like,
I
dude.
don't think that was escalatory. I think she just didn't really care how you felt at the time, and what she said was absolutely true.
Oh, it has nothing to do with how she cares. So when I came back from it, I wasn't even looking to, get one up on her or anything. I just said that was really shitty. I can't believe that person, called that in. And she goes, "Well, I didn't really even blame them." It's like, what are you doing? I'm not even blaming you. I'm blaming the person who swatted me. That's fair. I feel like it's very fair, especially with what they said. Then she starts defending them, right? That's escalatory.
I think you are once again misconstruing the situation. If we went to that part in the VOD, that would not be quite how it played out.
I think it's exactly how it played out. Like literally, she would not say one negative word against the person. Look, hey Kate, you're in chat right now.
Sorry.
Would you condemn that person now or no? Would you condemn that person's actions now or no? I'm curious. Because at the time it was like, hell no, I blame you, not him. Actually, I'm curious, just to see how biased on this you are. Because, I think it's a good conversation back and forth. I like people who push back. It's more interesting. It gets me far more introspection than someone who's just like saying, oh yeah, agreeing with everything. Do you think that her choosing to not condemn and almost like give like a tacit, nod of attention, but not condemning and actually condemning me, do you think that was escalatory?
It was escalatory.
Because I see it as absolutely right. If you agree on that, we're closer.
Maybe in a mild way, in the sense of like when you say something that doesn't have regard for someone's feelings.
So you said murder suicide. I would argue that to me, and it has been for some time, and it's not because of my view of the police, because I really like the police. I think they do great. I would say that like I've always considered my highest risk of like a fatality of like before my time or whatever as being like a swatting type incident. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's way more likely. You have to understand that for years before we had this compound, a bump in the night meant you were getting swatted, and so you didn't want to meet that threat with a gun, right? Like that would just be like good game, no read. And so like for her to, and she knows that, and she's been deathly afraid of this because of her dogs, which is valid, right? That is a very valid fear in my opinion. It might be like a 3%, 1% chance, but like, you get swatted enough, you're hitting that probability. And so it's just crazy to me to see that like in that moment, I believe our incentives were very aligned. I said that is a real shitty thing.
In that?
Yeah.
Sorry. Keep going.
But your incentives weren't quite aligned. You're missing kind of part of this calculation here, which is where you dashed over and pushed her out of the way to stop her stream.
That was before the incident, though, right? Like we're talking about, I come back from being swatted.
What I'm saying is that what has happened as a result of you doing that is the swatting. She hates that you've done this action in the first place, so there is actually an incentive for her to say to you, "Look, this is why you don't do that thing," right?
Well, it's actually, I would think that's like in of itself an escalation, and also just kind of a silly conclusion, because what I'm saying is that I came back. Yeah.
Because if you get physical with your wife on stream, someone's likely to call the police. That's just true.
Oh, but we didn't get physical, right? Like they and
Well,
but
because you pushed her out of the way.
No, I did not push her out of the way. That is not true.
You like shaft as you were running over.
No, I literally no. You're gonna need to watch it again. I grabbed the camera.
You're either getting physical, or you're like, you're physically obstructing. You're diving in front of it to get to the computer. There is.
Oh, diving in front of a camera is an issue now. Like let's be honest. She was not
diving onto the computer that your wife's using to stop her doing.
Well, so if you remember the thing, she has the phone on the desk. So like
So
and she's
before or after she's tried to exit the situation, and you followed her over there.
I mean, everything of this was the after, right? I mean, like none of this was.
Yep.
Before.
Yeah. So you follow your wife into a room, you keep berating her, and then she's streaming, and then you're like,
again, I've already said this.
Stop putting the camera at my face, and she's supposed to like listen to everything you say when you're berating her,
again,
harassing her, haranguing her around the house.
Again, and so when I'm going on podcasts and she's banging on my door, how's that not the same? Right? Like you're. I look. I get it from your vantage point. You go,
So when you're on a podcast, your wife should not come and harangue you by banging on your door
and threaten me in text messages, right? Like I think we're like in agreement.
I agree.
But you see, I don't really publicize those. I haven't shown anyone the text and all that stuff, because that would be absolutely like way more impactful. So it's like this. Look, if you want to say that I go out of my way to intentionally harm her, no. It's more so just that like. And I've told her this before, right? It's like I try to treat her like, I would address my own needs, and then she does the same to me. And we're just missing each other.
How whenever we get to the point where it's like, okay, this behavior is bad for you, you just pivot off to saying how she does this too. And it's like, well,
no, it's not actually. So you're slightly misconstruing it. It's not that I'm saying, oh, it's not really that bad or making a thing for it. I'm just telling you that you're saying, this is a bad behavior, it should be avoided. And I'm saying that like, yeah, but I've done that before. It just leads to this other bad thing. Like, it's like both choices are not particularly great. And like both of us probably should step up and just.
No, we're talking about a specific timeline of events. And then when we get to the bottom.
You're saying because I went downstairs with her, right? But like, I'm saying that like, okay, the alternative, because look, the idea is this, right? If she stops streaming, she goes downstairs, great. It's fine, right? She continues to stream. We all know what's going to happen. Her chat's going to feed her.
So you're saying you only followed her because she was streaming, and if this fight occurred off stream and she tried to leave an argument, you would just drop it immediately and you would not follow her?
It depends on what the fight is about.
So why are you even pretending this is the case?
Oh, no one's pretending. Like I'm saying that like it depends. Like I feel like that's a very reasonable answer because it literally does.
No, I think.
You can think what you want.
Which one is more common? I think you know that you more often than not follow her around.
You see, the thing is this, right? If her resolution,
yes or no? More often or not, you follow her around in the.
no,
argument.
it's a simple thing, right? It's a simple thing, and this gets to the crux of the
True or false?
impasse that
Okay,
me and her
false.
have. Okay, it's like this. Ever since she hit a certain net worth,
I only want a true or false. The only answer I want is true or false. You follow her around.
That's
more
great
often
that
than
you
not.
want that. I'm gonna
True or
answer
false.
everything, then I can say true or false.
So you can't answer that question. You cannot.
I would rather not because you're trying to lead the question. Anyways, as I was saying, like after she hit a certain net worth, as crassly as it is to put that, she just started acting like any, conflict that we could resolve, she's just gonna walk away from, right? And to me, that's fine. No, that's fine. That is fine. She is allowed to do that. But like, if I can't resolve these things, I only have one recourse, right? Like that's just how it goes. Like if you say you refuse to actually, have the hard conversations and resolve something, well, then the only thing I can do is leave or deal with it. And so then that's kind of what started me saying divorce. And then now she's a problem with me saying that. Well, okay, fine. If you're a problem with me saying that, then we're going to need to resolve this thing, right? And even if she said, I've told her this before too, if you tell me like, okay, let's resolve this thing tomorrow or at a later date, that is amenable to me. Like that's fine, but don't just walk away and pretend like you're never going to talk about it and it's never going to happen again anyways, even if we just don't talk about it. So it's with that I would say that like, sure, but like this is one of those things where I'm reacting to what I think is what she wants, which is to stay in the relationship. And then she's bristling at the fact that like to do that, we have to talk about stuff, right? And so to answer your question, like true or false, like again, it depends. Like how serious is the issue? If it's just a minor friction, like the dog cigar thing, oh, it wouldn't, because I don't care and I know it's not true. I didn't do anything, right? But if it's an actual thing where I see it as reoccurring, like it's a thing that's chronic, well then yeah, I'd follow her to try and resolve it. But like I would be open if she said, okay, let's actually get a divorce, and then like she was cool with that, then I guess I have to be okay with that too, right? Because I do agree, you either change it or you leave, right?
Okay,
that's the two
you
options.
Follow her around during the argument 0% of the time, 25% of the time, 50% of the time, 75% of the time, or 100% of the time.
I think it goes like I follow her around generally until like I say the divorce thing, and then it's like, okay, it's a fucking fight there and no one's following anyone, right? So
75% of the time,
I would say 75. Yeah, like I said,
okay.
My two pieces of recourse are resolve it or leave. So if I'm not resolving it, then I'm leaving, right? So someone's moving either way. You okay? Do you still need me to fill out those intake forms, or are you good?
So when you say that, oh, you only followed her around because she was still on stream, it wouldn't be a problem if she was off stream. That's probably not true, right? You probably would have followed her around anyway.
I mean, look, okay, I have a weird question for you. Do you think that only things that are streamed via like me on camera or her on camera, or is it all that counts? Or are we saying that if she types into her own chat? Low key.
This is like super simple. So you told me that you only continued following her because she was streaming. Stop streaming and she walks away, no big deal.
Oh, in that particular case, yeah.
Now,
because like I said,
that,
that's not a
I've
serious
asked you,
fight to me.
How often does this happen that you follow around? And you're saying, and this is you saying this, around 75%. So what am I to expect here? That you're telling me the truth when you say you wouldn't follow her around if this was off stream, but you do follow her around like 75% of the time. That seems pretty absurd. It seems more likely, Occam's razor here, that actually you would just follow her around anyway, and that you would just try and get us to turn off the stream.
I would probably use some Bayesian statistics there, right? Like you're saying that as in like it's a random encounter, but like it depends. That's why I said it depends. It depends on what the issue is. If it's something as silly as her accusing me of hating the dogs, I know I don't. I just don't. I don't care. But if you're going to stay on stream and keep talking about how I hate dogs, that's a problem.
surprised.
Okay, but here's the thing: it wasn't about the dogs at that point, was it? It was she was saying she wanted a divorce by that point. If she said she wanted a divorce,
She
would you
just
follow
says
her?
that, and then she leaves. And then if I start to actually, make calls, which I haven't actually done before, which is crazy, or like, like,
So why are you saying that if you actually start to do that? So that's not what we're talking about.
What do
If
you
she
mean?
says she's going to divorce you, do you follow her?
well, I mean, she would follow me too. It's just the thing we do.
Okay, does that happen? Yes or no?
Does what happen?
Do you follow her if she says she wants a divorce and then leaves?
I'll answer this, but I'll actually add a question after. Like you're saying in this case, obviously I did follow her, right? If you're saying usually, it's a mixed bag. Like that's probably closer to 50-50, honestly. Um, but it depends, right? Like if she's outside doing the yelling thing, like I follow her just to, I mean, well, we don't live it ironically, she chose this property. It's not a nice neighborhood outside these walls, right? And so when she does the thing where she storms outside in this neighborhood, like I feel obligated to follow her to make sure she's going to be okay, especially if she's like lying in the middle of the street screaming, right? So when you say following her, okay, you got me, but like a lot of the times it's more so that like I'm just there to make sure everything's okay, right? Like believe it or don't believe it, it's fine. But I have tons of videos before she deleted them of her just laying on the ground in whatever position, spread eagle, yelling. Like, what do you do? Just let her get run over?
How far into the argument is that usually if that's what's happening?
Sorry, what was that?
How far into the argument is it that she starts laying down and screaming?
It's actually like inconsistent. Like if we haven't had an argument in a while, she's pretty good about like curtailing that. But if we had an argument like a week before and it's fresh on her mind, it could be the moment I say an objectionable thing. That's the thing. It's so hard to deal with because the trigger is not always the
so
same.
You're saying you don't have any evidence of this because she's deleted it all.
Well, if we take her on her word for it, which is very confusing to me, she claims she deleted them, but not permanently, right? I have no way of verifying if or how many of that it's true for until I like take a real deep look through my phone and computer and stuff. But I mean, I guess there's at least one piece of her just laying on the ground yelling like a banshee. But like again, it's not really in my interest to put that out there. That's something like if it really comes to legal blows back and forth, maybe would be considered. But like I just have no desire to do that.
She was what threatening you in text when you were on the Red Pill podcast as well.
Yeah.
So what was she threatening you with?
A combination, and I feel like it's really shitty, right? Because like she is involved with my family, maybe almost more deeply than with her own family. Like she loves my nephews and nieces, and it's great. She bought the niece a pony. Right.
I'm just wondering what was the threat? What did she say?
No, I'm trying to frame it for you, right? The idea is like we both enjoy family time with my side of the family, right? And so she's welcome there, and I'm actually amenable generally to her staying in contact with him even if something happens with us, right? But like the types of stuff that she was threatening was like, oh, what if I tell them this thing, or what if I tell them that, or won't this kid be so sad if I do this? It's fucking kind of crazy, like to me. It's like, dude, you enjoy these kids. What the fuck are you doing? But I get it. I'm going to be charitable here. She's not actually saying anything about them. She's not actually wanting them to feel bad. She's not actually leveraging it to them. It's leveraging it to me because she knows I care too.
Let's be exactly clear on what's happening here. She's saying that how would your family feel if they saw you on this podcast right now?
Well, that would be great, but she actually mentions the kids directly. And they're not going to be watching that podcast, are they?
Okay, but
like it's just
regardless of who she's talking about, that's the threat, right? That's what you're saying is a threat. Her saying what that
you're going to make the kiddos feel bad? Yeah, I would say that. Like, but that's not the only threat. You said the family ones, right? Like if you talk about in general, it's just her. It's the same thing as I usually do. When we say threat, it's more like, oh, if you do this, I'll do this. And that's what it is, right? It's not actually an actionable physical thing. It's just like, if you say this, I'll say this. It's just that type of stuff, other than the family stuff where she's like, this kid would feel so bad if this happened, and you're doing this, and I'll tell them.
Precise, like what did she actually say to you while you're on the podcast?
I have chosen not to reveal that for a reason, because I know that she's not actually saying it about the kiddos. She's saying it so that to convince me to do something, because she knows that we both care, right? That's the charitable interpretation. And so that's why I don't think it's makes sense to really put it out there. You know what I'm saying?
That's just like no, I don't really understand that. You've already attempted to describe the nature of it, so
I feel like it's
up
different if I
there,
just fucking throw my thing on the thing, right? Like,
well, you'd have to throw something up. You can just say like, try and quote to me verbatim, maybe remove names if you need to. Just like, what was the threat? How was it worded? What did she say to you?
you're saying to me or about the kiddos?
About the kids or to you or whatever.
Sorry.
Huh?
I just realized I had my mic muted in Discord for a little bit. She, just to be clear, she is saying that she did not threaten anybody.
Yeah,
She
I
didn't
know.
do any
She's saying
threats.
that. And I bet she would ask her if she was pounding on my door incessantly. Did you do that? Or is
Okay,
that a
well,
lie?
We're not really talking about the pounding on the door right
No,
now.
no,
We're
I'm
talking
just
about
trying to
the
see.
threat.
I'm just
So
trying to
I
see.
just want you to know, like,
No, no, you have to understand that she does this thing where it's like if she, remember, it goes back to the thing.
Well, right
she
now I'm
doesn't-
hearing you do this thing where you make a claim and you've got evidence of it, and I'm just asking.
Well,
you
no, no,
to
no.
tell me what the wording is.
I want to know if it's even worth it for me to read this thing, or if she's just gonna like. Here's how it goes, right? She has this framing, which I alluded to earlier, where she'll say, "I feel this, and my feelings are valid, so it's true." And so my question to her is her feeling that she pounded on my door, is that valid, or she erased that? Because if she's erased that, there's nothing I'm gonna do to be able to convince her. I could fucking make her watch the video, wouldn't convince her. So I mean, it's a fair question.
okay.
I think.
I mean, I don't
Can
think
I-
your
can I ask-
explanation for why you're not just saying what this threat was makes any
So
sense. Can you
let
not
me
just
let
say-
me
Well,
just
no,
ask: did she explicitly talk about those kids?
I literally pick it up, yes, but I literally pick it up to start looking for the text, and then JTSLK asked me another question, and so I branch off a little bit. I can still look for them. I mean, I don't know why you're framing it like I won't read one.
I just want to know, like, surely you remember like what she said to you. You can't just like say what she said.
It was something along the lines of the niece, if she doesn't, keep her horse, who fucking cares? Blame her uncle, which is like crazy because I told her that like if you're gonna buy this kid a horse, you better make sure that like you have some wherewithal to because like look, my brother is he does well for himself, but he has a lot of kids, right? And so they live well but reasonably modestly, right? And so they're not going to be able to afford a horse that costs like $2,000+ a month, right? Carrying cost, not even the cost of the horse, just the cost of all the ancillary services it consumes, right? And so I've already told her like if you're going to do
what did
this,
she think was going to happen to the horse?
I think she's like just kind of insinuating that like she'll stop paying for it, or that like I don't know, because we always talked about this. I'm like, you're willing to continue paying for it, or like is this something you're foisting on me? And she's always said that, oh no, of course, right? And now she's saying, nah, buddy, you're gonna do it, which is kind of shitty because then why give her the pony in the first place? She wasn't even
Can
really
I just clarify for you really quickly?
Sure.
You're saying that she was threatening taking the pony away from your niece or whatever.
Not that explicitly.
During the Red Pill podcast.
Not that explicitly. It's more so that like insinuating she wouldn't have the pony, which is like, well, why wouldn't she have the pony? You get what I'm saying? Like it's like
that. Those are the same thing. Those are the same thing. So you're saying she referenced she would take the horse away.
Again, I hesitate to put it that succinctly because I'm pretty sure the point she was making is I'm either gonna start stepping in and paying for it, or she'll lose it, right? So I think the onus she's putting it is on me.
And she did this during the Red Pill podcast?
Either right during or right before. Because again, the way it framed was this. When she saw, and I was trying to tell her all day. She says I was hiding it, but I was like, hey, I got invited to podcast. She goes, I don't want to talk to you. It's like, okay, right. I'm not gonna then push start yelling podcast names. And so I said, okay. And I go away. And then, in the evening when I started my stream, and I go, hey guys, we're gonna go on a podcast later. My phone gets blown up. She's storming over here. She's in this building. It's mayhem. So to answer your question, either during or right before.
Okay. So when I guess you're talking about she was sending you text, she was blowing up your phone and pounding on the door. What was that about specifically?
Oh, she just wanted to control the narrative and control the language of what I said. which is funny because for years I would say, just be mindful of what you're saying. She goes, it's my choice to express it how I want. But the moment I get any kind of voice, and I have a much smaller voice than she is, right? I get any kind of little inkling of a voice, suddenly, like, I'm under this whole scrutiny of every messaging has to go through her. Like I said, it's quite crazy. I don't think she should feel entitled to that. I feel like a lot of this friction, honestly, underlying is that, like, there's a kind of a loss of feeling of, like, where the roles are, right? Suddenly I'm on stream, when things were good, people were like, oh my God, like, it's so fun when he's on stream. Like, I love it when he's on your stream. Please always have him on. And then I stream a little bit on my own and, like, people go there. It starts to feel like, maybe, it's the inverse of what you said earlier, which is that you said that you feel like I'm losing significance in the relationship 10 years in. And so I'm doing something. I feel like in her case, it's like she's losing some amount of, high visibility, or at least being higher visibility than me, because I was zero visibility, right? And that is causing some friction.
Do you really? So I've never read that once. That, like,
Read what once?
I'll be honest. Sometimes I watch your wife stream, and I think, like, I don't understand. She looks miserable. Like, I don't think she actually likes streaming sometimes.
Oh no,
So
I think she usually.
Sorry,
Amouranth,
Amouranth, if you're listening, but that is legitimately how I feel sometimes.
No, she actually just doesn't
And
like streaming.
I feel like there's no way she would go, oh, I really, really like. I understand. Also, she streams. Like,
Wait, say it, because you're wrong. I think if you're gonna say what I think you're gonna say, you're wrong.
Well, I just don't see how she would be, like, jealous of you being on a stream or something. That just doesn't make sense.
No. It's definitely not
I just
jealous of
can't
me
see
on
it
her
in
stream.
my mind.
No, it's definitely not jealous.
No, you like gaining a voice or being, like, popular. So I would ask. She was concerned about the narrative. What did you tell her when you said you were going on the podcast? Did you say anything about what you were going to say? Or...
So I know what she's gonna allege, but, like, it was pretty crazily misconstrued, and that's absolutely the clip that I had that she deleted. Right. But, like, the like, I guess way earlier that day, right? We were in the courtyard, right? And she asks a leading question, and I'm stupid, I guess, because I usually try to answer questions that are asked of me. And I think she says something along the lines of, are you willing, or could you lie? And in my mind, I'm like, well, if you lie, of course I'm going to lie. That's fighting fire with fire. So, like, I'm willing to, if it comes to it. And then she's like, so you're going to lie. It's like, well, no. My default choice is not to do so. But, like, if you start lying, and I was afraid, maybe irrationally, that she was going to start, because she says things that have a kernel of truth and are slightly framed in a way that's easy to misconstrue. I've always been afraid that she would just start saying stuff, right, that has no basis or whatever. And we're getting pretty close, right? Like, when she says, this is my reality, so I'm going to say it this way. It's like, okay, but, like, no one else defines anything that you're defining that way. And you can feel that way, and you can tell me about how you feel. But when you start telling the world or other people or the police that your feelings are what actually happened, we're getting into that twilight zone, right? And so that was my intention. She took it as that way. And then very dramatically, I wish she hadn't deleted this clip. You say, it's funny, you say I did a bit of a technical feat in stumbling backwards so far, right? I have ESP, because in the video, I am talking to her and she physically slams against the garage door, falling back, acting if she got fucking struck by my word. And I'm fucking 20 feet away, maybe 40 feet away. So, like, I really would like that video, because it's like, wow, you're just gonna, like what? So there's, like, a video of you that you can clip that you get slammed against the thing, and like, it's like, it could be bad. That's pretty fucking crazy. You see, like, it's that level
I don't
of,
know
like,
if she's making, like, any allegations.
No, she hasn't. But I'm just saying that, like, again, with all of these undertones in this guy thing, and I'm gonna murder suicide, a clip like that would fucking do numbers, right? Because they're not even gonna care. Well, let's see the actual push. No one's gonna ask that, right? I'm just saying that, like, it's not great. And obviously the other factor is, like, we have all these people on our property all the time, like right now at least, right? Like security guards, people doing renovations. You're telling me she slams against the wall? That's not going to be good for me. I'm going to get fucking knocked to the ground by some, person who thinks the only reasonable explanation is I obviously pushed her. It's just a bad choice. And, like, when you say this, right, like, okay, but she did touch me, right? So we can disagree about the force and all that. But like, I wasn't even close to her. Like, why are you doing like this fucking crazy throw yourself back against the garage door movement, which is a very loud thing, and the garage door is pretty malleable, so it doesn't. My understanding is it doesn't hurt. It just makes it loud. Boom. It's like that's a bit much, you know. And if the garage bay was open, she'd actually hurt herself, right? So it's just bad choice all around.
All right. I was more thinking of the lying thing. I didn't know anything about the garage door. I don't know.
Oh no, yeah, but like you see, like she asked. I'm starting to get to the point where I just gotta stop answering her questions, but then she'll yell at me to answer the questions, like she always does, which I should probably just start recording or playing the security cam footage. Like she does the same thing to me when she's going. Okay, it's the same berating thing. We both do it. We both shouldn't, right? Like it absolutely happens. I just don't see the need to leak it. And also, like, let's be honest here. If I leaked her berating me, the internet would just say I'm weak again. Like, I mean, that's all that happened, right? Like they would say woman crying, guy bad. That's just I know how this would play out. But like, yeah, no, she berates me just as vehemently. Absolutely, right? But obviously she's very conscious about never doing that generally on stream. Although I would argue that the dog carrying stream that kicked this all off, she kind of, if you watch that, there's a good period of time where she's yelling and I'm just like, hey, let's, you know. Yeah. Oh yeah. So sorry, to get back to the lying thing. She asked if I was willing to lie. And I was like, well, I mean, like if the situation calls for it, if you're lying about something I'm saying, I just have to fight fire with fire. Right. I feel like that's a pretty reasoned response. It's my attempt to be like, don't do it and I won't do it. Done. Right. Deterrence. But she took it to be like, you're gonna lie all the time, every time, everything you say is gonna be a lie. It's a bit exaggerated. Is what her fear she would say is.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's fair to say she was concerned about you lying about her in some way.
Well, look,
It seems like one thing she was particularly upset about was the cheating thing, right? Like I remember she was like, "No, that's not true. That's a lie," and she was quite upset about it the next day, right?
wait,
Was you
Are-
saying that she cheated on you with a black dude in Chinatown?
wait, when you say it was the next day, you mean it was said the next day or like something happened the next day?
So the first day you said it was
Okay.
she was pretty upset about it then.
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
would say it and wanted you to like take it back then. And then
Yeah.
I know you kind of like you kind of didn't really take it back on the pro podcast, right?
I said,
From what I remember.
look, that's what she's accusing me of in the text, like during the podcast, right? But like, I believe I was. Look, can anyone see something? Of course, I'm not gonna sit here like a lot of people in this position would say, no, I saw what I saw. No, I could have missaw. I could have missaw. That is a possibility. I will acknowledge that, right? To my detriment, I'll acknowledge that. But I think I very, very accurately reflected both what she claimed and what I saw. So, I mean, look, if you want me to like say, if you're gonna cross-examine me and say like, can we convict her of giving him a hand job? Well, no, right? Like, where's the proof other than you kind of saw it? You know, I think we could get into the thing of like, well, what is a hand job, right? Does he have to come? Like, I mean, we can get really into the weeds on it, but like ultimately, like, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be that close. And then he shouldn't be kissing you without you, like he kisses you and you just stand there next to him. I don't know, man. Like, it makes me think that if your hands are in his pants, something else is also happening, right? I mean, as most reasonable people would think.
Well, I think, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. She's just maintained the whole time that didn't happen, right?
I mean, of course. I mean, listen. Okay, I'll give you more context, right? And this is 100% true. And Kate, I'd love for you to try to refute this. So then, you know, she gets home after this incident where I catch her in the parking lot, right? The first thing she tells me is how great his touch felt. I don't know, man. What do you think? Either she's trying to make me mad and lying then, which is dumb, you know, right? Or,
Wait,
you know,
when you got home from Chinatown? That's
oh
what she
yeah,
said?
that's the craziest part. She tried to escalate it. That's what I'm saying. Like, so look, I'm gonna tell you something. There's a tell she has, whereas when she's done something actually wrong that she feels is wrong, it's not like she apologizes. She lashes out more. That I've noticed. It's a deeper lash out. It's like, no, it's not me, it's you. And then it's like fucking, or like, it's like, you know what, you're mad, I'm gonna make it matter. That's just how it is, right? And that's why, look, it could be, right? That it wasn't the hand job. And it was just something else she felt a little guilty about, right? Maybe the kiss. But like, it's not a good look that you're lashing out at me. And I know that when you lash out, it's because you feel that you've done something wrong and you're trying to, it's the thing I said earlier. It's representing strength when it's not.
Okay.
Kate, text me if you want me to actually fill out that intake form, because otherwise, you know, it's late and I'm not gonna bother. $2K a month for a horse.
Yeah,
Someone's criticizing my $2K a month for a horse. Listen, you might be right. It shouldn't cost that much. It shouldn't cost that much. But like, we keep it, you know, she likes to put them in a luxury stable. They get really attentive care. They get just the best service, best supplements, whatever, right? That I don't begrudge her spending a lot of money taking care of the animals. You know, we can budget for that, right? That's not an issue for me. But that is absolutely a real figure, and I would say it probably understates it. I don't think she'd even disagree with that number. You know, chatter who's angry.
Okay, people really want me to ask about the escorts. You said she totally made up the escorts. I don't know if I believe that.
I am
so look,
I am willing.
Like
I'll give you a
specific.
I'll give you a I believe public world first. Okay? Because I haven't addressed this because I know the optics are bad, but I'll just give it to you. Basically, as I've said to her, and she's trying to poke holes in the story, but and you know, now she's angry again. She might like say, no, I don't believe it anymore. But I think I pretty soundly put that to sleep. But it goes like this, right? And now I say this is gonna get worse, but it's fine. For years, certainly after 2022, that incident, right? But even before that, a little bit, I've been getting this consistent spam, and I let her know this, right? Of various forms of solicitation. You know, oh, like if I open my email right now, it'd say like, hey, you know, we'd love to consider you as a candidate for our funeral home, or like just weird, like kind of like not great or not like well looked upon jobs, like trash disposal engineer or some shit like that. They apply for these jobs for me and they cite my email as the contact. In addition, they also, you know, I think they're trying to cause friction, because I'm very free of her, like, you know, like I've never been like, don't look at my thing. I'm gonna keep my password real fucking private. Like I'm pretty lackadaisical. She says, show me an email, and I generally am willing to show her. Basically, I get a lot of intake forms filled out for like escorts, and then it comes back with the reply, right? And it's a real smart tactic, because when an intake form like that is filled out, if y'all understand how it goes, it's like the reply from the person looks like it's a reply to an email. And so that sets off a thing where, you know, yeah, like if I don't like, and also it's at the point where like, I don't even open them. Right. And so when you say, wow, it started with you replying, no. It's a quote nested, reply in the body of the email.
It's like
is reflecting the original intake
form
message.
field from a website where you fill in all your information and then it emails you back.
Yes.
Or they'll email you back or something.
Yes.
Okay.
It's smart. It's smart, right? And that's why she kept poking, like, are you saying you didn't message her first? Are you saying you messaged her first? Are you saying you messaged her first? I was like, no. And she's like, oh, you're lying. Look, it has a reply here. I'm like, please, like, we can go test this if you want. We can go to one of these fucking things and you can fill it out and then we'll see what happens. I think I'm pretty accurate in the right on that. It's a good trick. Okay, it's a good trick, but the tell is this, right? she disappears from stream for a few days and we're having fun and a photo goes on Instagram of us having fun, I get escort spammed. Like it's a smart thing to do. I mean, like if you're trying to create fiction, it's good. It's working.
Okay. I can describe exactly two people. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. So you would go to this site, you fill out the form fields. You probably have people who troll you. They go and they try to fill the form fields out. So they say, "Oh, I'm Nick Lee. Here's the email," and then it sends it to you, and then that can create friction.
Yeah.
That would be pretty easy to identify the ones you could have responded to or something. You'd have to go to like the sent directory or some shit and
Yeah.
see if you had emails to them or something.
Yeah.
Sure, that's possible.
And look,
I mean,
the thing is,
I guess
the
we'll
only
see
reason
what
she's
Amouranth has for evidence on that.
the only reason that she even like, because she normally wouldn't even like, is that how it works, right? But like, remember, we used to own and run a business that operated based on web intake forms, so she knows that's how it works. Like we've literally both
So
encountered that.
you've never sent a reply to one of these things?
Like so absolutely, and this is what steams her so fucking much, is that like when we get into a really big fight, I'll fucking do it because I know it'll piss her off. But obviously it's dumb because it's like ammunition or whatever. But like, look, have I ever met any of these escorts? No. Right? Have I ever been in a parking lot with them getting a hand job? No. Right? I feel like that's definitive enough. Now, whether she believes that or not, dumb of me maybe, right? But like the facts, it goes one direction.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's what it all comes down to. I know how web intake forms work. It sounds like she probably knows as well, and that she pretty much immediately said, at least from what I saw in her chat, it looked like she said, no, it's like sent emails and stuff too.
No, I mean like
you said so. Okay.
yeah, like I mean like we're both, I mean on this note, I think right now at least we're both being very honest about it. I mean like it's just the biggest part of the anger was the initial message from her. Right? Like that's what she was mad at the most, and that was web intake. But like obviously the replies aren't great, and she's fallen back on that as the grievance because I, obviously
well,
look,
I don't think she fell back on that as the grievance. I think that probably is the grievance, that you're in active communication with these people.
I actually, obviously it's hard to pinpoint why she's angry. I would just say that the lion's share of the conflict was her harping on the initial one, and then when that was addressed, then it became, well, you still did this thing, and it's like, no, you're right, and I shouldn't have done that. I was mad, and it's the thing. It goes back into the chain. She'll tell me I'll never do this thing again. She does it. I'm like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna do this thing again then. I'm gonna message them, right? I know it's just gonna make you mad. I'm not gonna do anything, but that enough will fucking steam you, and I'll fucking do it just because you did whatever to me, right? So it's not great. We could call it fairly toxic in both directions. That's why I want to have a conversation and just like be like, let's draw a line in the sand. I do this, you shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. If I do it anyways, you still shouldn't retaliate by doing that. Like we both have to be accountable and hold back the floodgates, so to speak, right? Because it's like the thing is like with countries, it's like,
so
okay.
It depends, because then that's like, well, it's really filtering down, and like it's not going down to specific things, and you're both gonna have different tolerances. I feel like, so that's probably how I operate. But I'll just be real with you. I've had lots of relationships where like they break down because I'm willing to keep things like more private than they are.
Mhm.
I feel like betrayed, that like leads to a total degradation of the relationship. If you don't match up on that like scale of like what stays private in a relationship, I think that's gonna like blow things up, and it feels like it's blowing things up for you guys. Also, the people who keep everything private are the people who either abuse or get abused. So, if you're willing to make things public, you're going to at least, the other person might feel betrayed, but realistically, I assume most people really only make things public when they feel like it's reached a breaking point. So,
so like I would put an asterisk, which is like it's either they feel it's at a breaking point, or they just broke in the case of like the Vivance, right? Like, I mean, Sure, she saw it as a breaking point because she thought she was rapturing. I feel like if God is about to fucking summon you to the pearly gates, you can act a little weird. I don't think that's me, you know.
No, but I also don't think that's the only time she's gone public.
Oh no, it's not the only time, right? But I would say it's the 22 more notable, and then obviously the more recent one. But no, I agree. Like I have a lot of improvement I should be making. I just feel like, and it'll probably continue to be this way in the sense of like, I don't think I'll turn the court of public opinion. There's going to be people who like my take or they can commiserate. Like the moment our first fight streamed, right? My DMs on Instagram and Twitter were blown up with guys, and some of them pretty big creators even telling me that like, oh my god, dude, like I was in a relationship and like it was like this, and the guys really commiserate with the guys, and I'm sure the girls really commiserate with the guys, and of course the simps commiserate with the girls too. So it's just an interesting mixed bag. There's different perspectives. I could be better. She could be better. At the end of the day, I think that like, I do think it's a true, binary thing. It's like we either split or we work it out. So like, if you're afraid of communicating, like that only leaves one option.
Yeah, I don't really feel like it's even, but I also feel like we've probably litigated it about as much as is reasonable in any one stream.
No, I think this is a good discussion.
Oh, what do you mean? What is a good question?
No, I said I think this is a good discussion. Like, the first thing I watched of
sure.
you, or maybe the second thing, was this video that you saw me reacting to. I like your voice. I like y'all's perspective. I'm always friendly, or I'm always happy to talk to someone who has an opposite perspective, because I truly think I'm doing this whole streaming thing right now because I want to see if I can do it. That's it. It's all just personal enrichment, or sorry, personal. Is it enrichment? I don't know. Anyways, the idea is that like I want to learn something, and if someone tells me something, and it's so poignant, but it berates me or it insults me because I'm doing something wrong, well, that's fucking great, like, because like, look, I have no reputation left to salvage. Like everything is just kind of a net positive in terms of information at this point.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, you stuck in this conversation for longer than I'd expect out of most people.
Dude,
Honestly,
I'll talk forever, right? Like that's my problem.
With that clip, yeah, that's rough. And with Queeman, this guy's a real asshole sometimes.
It's fine. Like, look, I like it's so much more fun when someone's actually pushing you and maybe even being slightly unfair to you. I think the thing about content, I'm sure is the more like controversial, objectionable, it's better, right? You'd rather have that even if you feel like they're combating against you, versus like someone who just agrees with everything. It's boring, right? That's how I feel. Like I've been on shows and talked to people where they're just like, oh yeah, dude, like you did the right thing. Oh man, this woman's terrible. It's like, it's a little awkward, honestly. Like I don't like that.
Yeah, it makes sense. We'll have to figure out how to get you in the Discord. We do like a drop-in thing,
yeah.
so you can drop into stream when you want.
No, that's cool.
Like
yeah,
we do open discussions and stuff. So
yeah, throw me in there
for that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
But I can talk to you more about that on Discord or whatever. I just want to. So somebody asked me to ask you this question very specifically. Going back to the post nut, okay? I'll ask it exactly the way they wrote it out. If you want her to pick the assets without education that she's going to keep, and she picks watches, businesses, and gas stations, you wouldn't be okay with that, right? Because it wouldn't be fair. Why is it only fair at your side, but it's okay if she gets an unfair deal?
Wait.
So if she had said, I want these things, watches, businesses, gas stations, or something, like if she picked, gas stations and watches, let's say, or things, without being educated, would that be fair to you? Would you say, okay, yeah, whatever?
Well, so here's the thing, right? The premise of the question is wrong. We can go the hypothetical route if you want, but like the watches aren't a pickable asset, just like the horses aren't, just like her jewelry isn't, just like the real estate that she already wants isn't a thing I countered or objected to or can pick either, right? So the watches aren't in it, like as it's written, right? So if you're saying if it wasn't written that way and she picked those, the only qualm I would have is this. Right? I don't want to look at the book value of the gas stations. I want to look at the market value, right? The watches, I don't care as much. Look, watches, it could go up, it could go down. I have no view, right? The way the gas stations and some of the real estates are structured, that there's only one direction that valuation goes. And so to answer his question as a hypothetical, because it's not how anything's written, yeah, if you would look at gas stations on market value, I don't have a problem with that. If you look at it in book value, I have a huge problem with that. But it's the gas stations, not the watches. It's the crux.
Okay. All right. Yeah, somebody just they literally
No, it's
Amy
a
asked
good
the
question.
so.
It's just it slightly misinterprets how it's written, but like, you know, I try to answer it both like as it's written and then also like, you know, how it's supposed to.
Sure. Sounds good. Now I have to. This may be the most important thing of the night, and it's
Okay.
not even like a question. It's just I have to tell you something.
Sure.
And I don't know how you're gonna take it. It's gonna be really rough, but the word is literally pedantic. It is not pedantic. It is pedantic, pedantry, pedant.
I'm a
Do not
chronic.
want to hear pedant anymore.
I'm
I
a
really
chronic
don't.
mispronouncer.
I really don't. I can't do it.
Say it again for me.
Pedantry, pedantic.
Okay.
Pedantic.
I learned
not
everything
pedantic.
from
Thank
reading.
you.
I
You're welcome,
pronounce
God.
everything wrong. It's just a thing I do.
Okay, that's fine. Just that one was getting us, okay? That one was just getting us. But other than that one, there's a few others, but it's okay. The pedantic one was the one.
No, that's
that
good.
was
That's
rough.
good. Like honestly, like the now that you've told me that, I'm probably gonna pronounce it right everywhere else. But when I talk to you, I'm kidding.
That's fine. All right.
Hey, I enjoyed this.
I don't have more questions. So if Queemy's got anything else, but yeah, thanks
No,
for coming on.
That for a minute.
No, this is good. This is good. I appreciate you having me on. I think just how late it is, I will probably turn in now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think we're all ready for bed.
All right.
Cool.
It's great chatting
thanks
with
for
you
coming
guys. Yep.
Catch you later.
Yeah, good talking to you. See ya.